Okay, it's 9:30. I'm going to call this meeting to order for Tuesday, October 17th, 2023. I'm going to start off with the land acknowledgement. We respectfully acknowledge that the Township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen is located on the Treaty 20 Mississauga territory of the Mississauga and Chippewa Nations, collectively known as the Williams Treaties First Nation, which includes Curve Lake, Hiawatha, Alderville, Gugog Island, Rama, Osale, and Georgina Island First Nations. The Township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen respectfully acknowledges that the Township Treaties First Nations are that the Williams Treaties First Nations are stewards and caretakers of the lands and waters in perpetuity, and that they continue to maintain this responsibility to ensure their health and integrity for generations to come. So I'll ask everyone to please make sure your cell phones are off or place them on vibrate so it doesn't disturb the meeting. And we're going to remind council declaration if you pecuniary interest, if it arises, you can declare it now or declare it if something comes up later. So we have minutes here from the regular council meeting of October 3rd. Let's go in order. I'll look for a motion to receive them. Moved by Deputy Mayor Webb, seconded by Councillor Doherty. All in favor? And that's carried. Okay, our first item here is the public meeting for zoning bylaw amendment. I'll look for a motion to go into the public meeting. Moved by Councillor Clement, seconded by Councillor Doherty. All in favor? And that's carried. All right, then. So the up here. So this is a statutory meeting held under Section 34 of the Planning Act. The owners applicants are Matthew and Carrie Davis. The property is described as Lot 23, Concession 4, known municipally as 1854 Sandy Lake Road, having a property roll number of 153101000715400. Any person may attend the public meeting and or make verbal or written representation, either in support or in opposition of the proposed zoning bylaw amendment. Please keep your videos off and microphone muted during the meeting until I invite you for comments regarding to the planning matter. If a person or public body does not make oral submission at the public meeting or make written submissions to the Township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen before the proposed zoning bylaw is passed, the person or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision of the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen to the Ontario Land Tribunal. If a person or public body does not make an oral submission at the public meeting or make written submission to the Township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen before the proposed zoning bylaw amendment is passed, the persons or public body may not be added as a party to the hearing of the appeal before the Ontario Land Tribunal unless, in the opinion of the tribunal, there are reasonable grounds to add the person or public body as a party. If you wish to be notified of the passing of the bylaw amendment, you must make written request to the Township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen. With that, I'll turn it over to Arya.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Good morning, members of council. So the purpose and effect of this report is to present for consideration and requisite approval of council an application to amend the Township's comprehensive zoning bylaw number 1995-42 as amended in order to permit the uses outlined in the rural zone. This is a deferred application as this was before council during the previous open session. My recommendation is that subject to any new information or public comments received prior to or at the statutory public meeting, that the draft bylaw be passed as presented and that the balance of this report be received. So just a little bit about background on this property. As proposed, the applicants are requesting a change in the zone category of the subject lot from the open space zone and environmental protection to the rural zone and environmental protection. So essentially it's just swap zone categories. The effect of this category will change the permitted uses as outlined under the rural zone to be eligible for future building permits. Currently, there is no form of new development being proposed as a result of the approval of this application, as the lands are currently vacant. So the property owner is Matthew and Carrie Davis. I believe he is in attendance today. The property description is Lot 23, Concession 4, with municipal address of 1854 Sandy Lake Road in the Methuen ward. The type of planning approval being sought today is, as Mr. Mayor has already mentioned, it is Section 34 of the Planning Act. So the subject land comprises approximately 21 hectares. which translates to about 52.1 acres with frontage along Sandy Lake Road. There's currently no form of development on the subject lot, which has been captured by property assessment data. It was brought to the attention of township staff that the portion of Sandy Lake Road that traverses the property is legally pinned to the property owner, as opposed to the township. This indicates that Sandy Lake Road technically would be considered legally under the ownership of the subject property owner. The property survey, as indicated by the appendices, was forwarded to the township municipal solicitor for further commentary in relation to the matter. So the lot consists of developable lands which are currently zoned as open space, and some localized wetlands are present, some of which are captured under the environmental protection zone. So the intent of this application, as previously mentioned, is to change the zone category of the developable areas from open space to rural. So under the just in terms of planning discussion, if conformity must be maintained with the provincial policy statement as well as the growth plan for the Greater Golden Horseshoe. Under the PPS and the growth plan, the subject lot is currently located in the rural areas within a municipality. Furthermore, both plans permit resource-based and residential development within rural areas, while also including certain policies to protect significant natural heritage features. The intent of this application is to permit limited residential development within a lot located in the rural areas of the township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen. The subject application will also serve to place further protective zoning buffers from key natural heritage features and their respective vegetation protection zones. And that's just fancy terminology for buffer. No new development is currently being proposed as a result of the approval of this application. However, future residential development can be anticipated. Therefore, there is no conflicting policy with the provincial policy statement as well as the growth. Just a little bit about the County of Peterborough's official plan. According to the county's OP, the subject lands are designated rural and cultural landscape. In summary, policies of the plan emphasize the value of protecting agricultural land base areas as well as natural heritage features. Limited rural development is permitted, provided the development is compatible with the rural landscape and does not end up imposing any form of negative impact to surface waters or other natural heritage features. While future residential development is anticipated on the subject lot, the application presently before council does not intend on seeking any development upon its approval right now. The purpose of this subject application is to permit limited residential development on a lot that currently maintains frontage along a publicly maintained road. Therefore, there is conformity with the comprehensive the County of Peterborough's official plan. So just about the township's official plan, the subject property is designated as rural. According to the OP, the township's OP, lands in the rural designation are not permitted to be focus of residential development. However, a variety of land uses, including limited residential uses, are permitted. As previously mentioned, the purpose of this application is mainly to change the OS zone areas to rural. This would render the developable areas of the lot eligible for building permits for limited residential uses. So again, in conformity with the township's official plan. Furthermore, a lot of the wetlands that were captured by the Crow Valley Conservation Authority's mapping and assessment are going to be captured exactly up there, as illustrated up there, would be considered environmental protection. So they would be definitely captured. And finally, the zoning bylaw, according to Schedule A2 of bylaw number 1995-42, as amended, the subject property is currently zoned, again, open space and environmental protection. If approved, the application will serve to rezone the developable area, so the OS zone areas, to rural, as well as environmental protection. Currently, the approval of this application, again, is not resulting in any form of development currently at the moment. However, future residential development can be anticipated. The areas of the property as outlined in Appendix C, which are comprised of primarily unevaluated wetlands and localized wetlands, will be further zoned to environmental protection. This would render these areas of the property ineligible from any encroachment from development. So essentially, we're creating more environmental protection on this property while also allowing for future residential development in those areas that are developable. Following our assessment and review of the application within the context of all the land use planning policies and regulations, it is the township's planning opinion that the subject application conforms to the growth plan, the County of Peterborough's official plan, the township's official plan, and the zoning bylaw, as well as maintaining consistency with the provincial policy. And that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you, Arya. So the next part of this meeting is, I'm gonna start off by asking 3 times anybody opposed to the application, followed by 3 times anybody in favor of the application. So for the first time, anybody opposed to the application? Second time, anybody opposed? And third time, anybody opposed to the application? Being none, is there anybody wishing to speak in favor of the application? We do have the applicant here. I don't know if you had anything to add. Everything's good. Okay, so second time, anybody wishing to speak in favor of the application? Oh, I do see a hand up. James Wilkes. James, your hand's up there. Did you wish to speak in favor of this application?
Hello, good morning. I'm on a cell phone, but I would like to ask a couple of questions of clarification before opposing or confirming.
Okay. Go ahead.
I'm also a resident, or not a resident. I'm a property owner on Sandy Lake Road, so that's how I became aware of this zoning amendment as a proposal. And I guess I have some questions around, has there been any environmental study prior to this meeting?
All right.
Through to you, Mr. Mayor. Currently, at the moment, a scoped environmental study done by an ecologist, a private ecologist, was not completed. However, this entire application was done within the boundaries of the Crow Valley Conservation Authority, and they have consulted us on this application 100%. They have also shared no concerns with the application.
Okay, Mr.
Okay,
Wells?
thank you. And I one follow-up question then. My property is currently zoned open space. And how I understand it is that even in open space zoning, an applicant can make a request for a minor variance to build a building, as was done on my property. And so I wonder, does this property need to be rezoned rural to still achieve what the applicant wants in terms of a future residential building of sorts?
Through to you, Mr. Mayor, I would say that the open space zone only permits certain limited developments, such as like conservation uses and very limited. Again, it's meant to be left as open space. However, the rural zone captures a lot of other residential structures that could be developed that is not captured under the OS zone. So I would be of the opinion that in order for a residential development to take place on the subject lands that are zoned OS, a zoning bylaw amendment would be required.
Did you get that, Mr. Wilkes?
I did. I can hear you clearly. I guess finally, my last concern regarding the amendment or the change of zoning is that because many of those properties and those 3 cube blocks on the map are the only private lands in a larger public landscape. I worry that one zoning amendment from open space to rural might lead to a domino effect of many open space zonings becoming rural as well. And I understand that rural zoning allows for so many different uses that may interrupt the ecosystem protection that you seek to achieve.
Through to you, Mr. Mayor, my comment back would be in relation to, again, we have worked with the Conservation Authority. We have added environmental protection. So rest assured, every single one of those wetlands that are on the property are going to be protected with a 30-meter buffer, which is scientifically known in the literature to be the distance that development should be set back, and that is what is happening on this land. And in relation to a domino effect, I wouldn't think that that would be the case, because we have in the past, I believe in 2018, did a housekeeping amendment where I would say neighborhoods of OS zones were converted to rural. And so this wouldn't be any different than that kind of application, and that was done maybe 5 years ago, even further back. So this is definitely not a new form of application.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your input. I appreciate it.
Okay. All right then, so with that, I'll open up to council if you have any questions. Councilor Clement, go ahead.
Do you remember? Aria, you and I have discussed this at length. The only question I have for you, when you were saying that the road currently is owned by the owner, does this change? Do we take ownership of the road, or does that stay the same?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I would say that I'm not really in a position to comment on that because it's a legal matter, but rest assured that the matter is with our municipal solicitor, and he's currently looking into it.
Thank you.
Okay, so the recommendation here is that subject to any new information, that the draft bylaw be passed as presented and the balance of the report would be received. What's council's thoughts? Wait on with that, or? Okay, moved by Councilor Clement. Seconded by Councilor Doherty. Any other questions? All in favor? And that's carried. Okay, so that's the end of the zoning bylaw part of the meeting. So I'll look for a motion to go back out into the regular meeting. Moved by Councilor Deputy Mayor Webb and seconded by Councilor Clement. All in favor? And that's carried. So we do have one bylaw here. If what's council's thoughts of dealing with it now and getting that off the agenda. So okay, all right. So seconder, all in favor? Okay, so the one bylaw here is, if I can find it. Okay, the bylaw to change the zoning of certain lands being located in lot 23, concession 4 in the Methuen ward from open space zone and environmental protection zone to rural zone and environmental protection in order to permit the outlined under the other use zones for David. So does somebody want to move that we pass the bylaw? Okay, moved by Deputy Mayor Webb. And seconded by Councilor Flagler. All in favor? That's carried. Okay, so next on the agenda is we're going to move into minor variances with Deputy Mayor Webb in the chair. So I'll look for a motion to move by Councilor Doherty, seconded by Councilor Clement. With Deputy Mayor Webb in the chair for minor variances. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Martin and members of the Committee of Adjustment. I'd like to call the public meeting to order and remind the members of the committee of the requirement to disclose any pecuniary interest or general nature thereof if the occasion arises. This public meeting is held under Section 45 of the Planning Act and its regulations. We'll now have our planning consultant, Aria, present us with 5 minor variances today. Running Berardi's first.
Through to you, Mr. Chair. Application A2023 for applicant Mike Berardi and Lori Manley, owners of part lot 19, concession 7, having a municipal address of 177 Fire Route 49. So the purpose of this minor variance application is as follows. All required reliefs are to the Township of Havelock-Belmont-Methuen's comprehensive zoning bylaw 1995-42 as amended. Number 1, seek relief from section 4.37 as well as 11.2.1 C and D. This will have the following effects: reducing the minimum required high watermark setback from 30 meters to 2.6 meters, which is roughly around 8.5 feet. Reducing the minimum required front yard setback from 21.3 meters to 2.6 meters. As well as reducing the required side yard setback as per section 11.2.1 D from 6 meters to 4.9 meters, which roughly is around 16.2 feet. The second effect is also seeking relief from section 4.10B, having the following effects. Number 1, permitting the increase of a deficiency as it relates to the height of an existing recreational dwelling unit. The above reliefs are to permit the following changes to the subject property. Number one, reconstruction of an existing screened porch intended to be converted into habitable living space, as well as increasing the height of the reconstructed screened porch to match the roof line of the existing dwelling unit. There's one caveat is that there's no second story being added as a result of that. And number three, the construction of a single-story addition to the easterly portion of an existing dwelling unit as indicated by the site plan above. This single-story addition is intended to be used for as a mudroom as well as a back entrance. So my recommendation is that minor variance application A2023 be approved with the following conditions: that the development be completed in accordance with the site plan submitted. And this is submitted by their agent, Brendan Curry, who I believe may be on the call today. That the 20-day appeal period lapse prior to the issuance of a building permit. That a building permit be issued within 18 months of the approval of this application. And that the balance of this report be received. As my report has stipulated, the township has determined that the application meets all four tests of a minor variance. It is also consistent with the provincial policy statement as well as the growth plan for the Greater Golden Horseshoe. The applicants have consulted Crow Valley Conservation Authority regarding the subject application. Circulation of this application was made to both Peterborough Public Health, who's the health unit, as well as the Crow Valley Conservation. CVCA has indicated that that a permit from their office will be required and that they share no concerns with the proposed development. And that concludes my report.
Thank you very much for the report, Arya. Is the applicant or their agent present with us today? Hello, Brendan.
Yes, hey, how are you?
Good, how you doing?
Good.
You have anything to add to Arya's report?
No.
No? Okay. Is the applicant with us today or no?
No, I don't believe so.
Yes, we're here.
Okay.
Okay. Did you have anything to add to either Arya or Brendan's comments? Is Arya's comments?
No, nothing to add. Thank you.
Covered it, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll start off here. Is there anyone present or online wishing to speak in opposition to this application? Second time, anyone present or online here today wishing to speak in opposition? Third and final time, anyone wishing to speak in opposition of the application? Is there anyone present today wishing to speak in favor of the application? You guys don't have anything to add, Brendan, no?
No, nothing.
Okay.
I already got it all.
Yep. Second time, is there anyone present wishing to speak in favor? Third and final time, anyone present or online wishing to speak in favor? Hearing no comments, I'll open up the floor for any questions from the members of the committee. Or a motion. Mayor Martin.
I'll make a motion that we approve the application
So Mayor Martin is made with the conditions. With the listed conditions.
as recommended, provided.
We have motion made by Mayor Martin, seconded by Councillor Doherty. Comments or questions on the motion? All in favor? And that's passed. Thank you very much. Thank you, Brendan.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Move on to our second report, which I believe is Warswick. All right, go ahead.
Through to the chair, application A2523 for applicant Tracy and Michael Warswick, owners of part lot 13, concession 8, having a municipal address of 20 Fire Route 96. There you go, that's the one. I believe their agent, Holly Richard Conley, she is on the call today, I believe. So the purpose of this minor variance application is to seek relief from section 4.37 and 11.2.1D of the township's comprehensive zoning bylaw as 1995-42 as amended. This is to permit the development of a single-story addition and a new covered porch towards the rear of an existing recreational dwelling unit. This application will have the following effects. Number one, reducing the minimum required high watermark setback from 30 meters, which translates to about 100 feet, to 23.5 meters or 77.1 feet. Number two and final, reducing the minimum required side yard setback as per section 11.2.1D from 6 meters to 4.7 meters. The recommendation is that minor variance application A2523 be approved with the following conditions. That the applicant, the development be completed in accordance with the site plan submitted, so we have that a 20-day appeal period lapse prior to the issuance of the building permit. That the development meet all setback standards pertaining to hydro easements as well as sewage systems. That the proposed development meet the minimum setback of 1.5 meters, which translates to about 5 feet from any existing accessory structure located on the same lot. That the building permit be issued within 18 months of the approval of this application, and that the balance of this report be received. As my report stipulates, the township has determined that the application meets all 4 tests of a minor variance. It is also consistent with the provincial policy statement as well as the growth plan for the Greater Golden Horseshoe. The applicants have consulted Peterborough Public Health regarding the proposed development in relation to an existing sewage system, which is a septic system on the subject property. Peterborough Public Health has indicated that they do not object to the proposed addition and covered porch, as the existing sewage system is large enough and the location will not be impacted by the development. It is a little unclear from the application if the applicants have consulted Pearl Valley Conservation. I'm sure they have. In any event, this application has been circulated to CVCA for their commentary, and their office has notified us of the development that they share no concerns. A permit from CVCA is anticipated as part of the building permit process. And that concludes my report.
Thank you for that report, Aria. Do we have the applicant or their agent with us today?
Hi, good morning. It's Holly Richards Conley, the agent for this file.
Hi, how are you today?
Good.
Wait, is there anything you'd like to add to Aria's report or?
No, we are aware of the CVCA permit requirement. As Aria mentioned, we did consult with Peterborough Public Health to ensure that the septic setbacks were okay and that the size was okay, and they provided us a letter stating such. So I'm just here to answer any questions that council committee may have.
Okay, and I think that, as you said, Aria, the report from the CVCA was a part of the recommendations. Part of the building permit going forward, that would have to come. Okay, thank you for that. So is there anyone present here today wishing to speak in opposition of this application or online? Second time, anyone online or in person wishing to speak in opposition of the application? Third and final time, anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Is there anyone present or online wishing to speak in favor of the application? Holly, would you like to add anything, or are the applicants here today? Would they like to add anything?
No, I'm here representing on their behalf.
Thank you very much. Second time, anyone wishing to speak in favor? Third and final time, anyone wishing to speak in favor of the application? Hearing no comments or questions, I'll open up the floor to the members of the committee. Councillor Doherty, go ahead.
Make a recommendation that we approve what they, as recommended by our plan.
So Councillor Doherty move that we move the report with the recommendations made by Ari. Seconded by Councillor Clement. Any comments or questions? All in favor? And that's passed. Thank you for that. Move on to our third report, which is Reed. 826-23 Reed.
Through to the chair, the purpose and effect of this minor variance application, A2623, is to seek relief from sections 4.10BA, 4.37, and 11.2.1C of the Township's comprehensive zoning bylaw as amended to permit the extension of an existing lakeside uncovered deck, as well as the development of a single-story addition to an existing recreational dwelling unit. The property owner, the subject property owner is Mr. William Reed. I believe he's here today. The municipal address is 41 Fire Route 84, part lot 25, concession 3. The lot area is roughly around 1.06 acres. The zone of the property, I should also mention, is seasonal residential with the official plan designation of shoreline. So the effects of this application is number one, for the uncovered deck extension, one, reducing the minimum required high watermark setback from 30 meters to 14.43 meters. Number two, reducing the minimum required front yard setback from 21.3 meters to again 14.3 meters. For the single story addition, the reduction of the high watermark setback will be from 30 meters to 17.5 meters, as well as the front yard setback would be reduced to 17.5 meters. As well as number 3, permitting the increase of a deficiency as it relates to the provisions outlined in section 4.10B to allow the single story addition to match the existing roof line with no second story being added. My recommendation is that minor variance application A2623 be approved with the following conditions: that the development be completed in accordance with the site plan submitted, that the a 20-day appeal period lapse prior to the issuance of a building permit, that the development meet all setback standards pertaining to hydro easements and sewage systems, that a building permit be issued within 18 months of the approval of this application, and that the balance of this report be received. So just a little bit about the background of the property. So the purpose of this minor variance application is, again, to permit 2 forms of development, one taking place to the existing deck as well as the single story addition. The property itself, the applicant has consulted Pro Valley Conservation Authority in relation to the proposed development. It was indicated under permit number 165-23, and that was attached as Appendix E. This application has been circulated to Pro Valley Conservation as well as Peterborough Public Health, and approvals from both agencies are anticipated. It is important to note that the shoreline crown reserve on the subject lot is considered unpatented crown land, which is under the ownership of the Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry. However, as indicated by Appendix F of this report, the applicant is currently under the process of purchasing the crown shore reserve from the ministry, pending its registration, obviously, from the land registry office. So just a little bit about the 4 tests. One is the application minor in nature. We have determined, or the township has determined, that the proposed application is considered minor in nature. It is appropriate for the desirable and appropriate for the subject lands. It also conforms with both the township's official plan, the county's official plan as well. And it also maintains consistency or conformity, I should say, with the zoning bylaw. The tests also require conformity with both the provincial policy statement as well as the Greater growth plan for the Greater Golden Horseshoe. This has been maintained as part of the analysis. At the time of writing this report, no comments have been made from ratepayers, as previously mentioned. Pro Valley Conservation has been consulted in relation to the development, and a valid permit has been issued. And this application, again, is also further circulated to Peterborough Public Health, which we've currently not received any form of comments so far. As this application meets the 4 tests of a minor variance and conforms to the PPS and the growth plan, it is a recommendation of this report that the application be approved.
Which way to go?
That would be approved. And that concludes my comment.
Thank you for your report, Aria. We have the applicant or their agent with us today.
Yes, I'm present.
Sir, what's your name? State your name, please.
William Reed,
Mr. Reed.
REID.
Yep. Do you have anything to add, or do
Sorry?
you have anything to add to?
Yes, I do, actually. I do have an approval from the health department, an email stating that they have no objection to the proposed addition and the extension of the deck. I also have a permit from the Crow Valley Conservation Authority to move forward. I also have purchased the Crown Land property and have the registrant since June. I've had actually in January I paid for the property, and I received the registered deed in June of this year, so that now is no longer an issue. I guess.
Thank you.
Ready to move forward. I've got footings ready forward, so.
Thank you for that.
I can get the permit out here.
Part, so we'll try and do our part over here, Mr. Reed. Thank you very much for that. Second time, anyone, or sorry. So we'll start. Anyone present or online wishing to speak in opposition of the application? Second time, anyone present or online wishing to speak in opposition? Third and final time, anyone wishing to speak in opposition of this application? Is there anyone present or online wishing to speak in favor of the application? What you said is good, Mr. Reed. That's good. Nope.
Like to move forward.
Second time, anyone wishing to speak in favor? Third and final time, anyone wishing to speak in favor? So hearing just the comments from Mr. Reed, I'll open up to the members of the committee. Kathy, or sorry, Councillor Clement, go ahead.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Well done, Mr. Reid. I think people do their homework. I'm quite willing to progress with that.
So we have a motion from Councillor Clement to approve with the stipulations.
With the stipulations.
Okay. Seconded by Councillor Doherty. Comments or questions on the motion? All in favor? And that's passed. Thank you very much for that. Good to go, Mr. Reed. Buildings Board. And we move on to our next report, which is A2723 Wiggins.
To the chair, subject of this application, as mentioned, A2723 is for a minor variance. The property owner is Chris Wiggins. I believe the agent of the applicant is Matthew Bissers, who was on the call with us today, or he was sent the link for the Zoom meeting. The municipal address of the property is 77 Fire Route 8A. The property is located in part lot 15, concession 3, with an area of roughly around 0.5 acres. So the purpose of this minor variance application is to seek relief from section 4.37 and 11.2.1C of the Township's comprehensive zoning bylaw 1995-42 as amended, to permit the extension of an existing lakeside uncovered deck, as well as the development of a single-story addition to an existing recreational dwelling unit, almost the same as this application will have the following effects. For the uncovered deck, reducing the minimum required high watermark setback from 30 meters to 10.7 meters. Reducing the minimum required front yard setback from 21.3 meters to 10.7 meters. And in relation to the single story addition, reducing the minimum required high watermark setback from 30 meters to 15.9 meters. And also the reducing the minimum required front yard setback from 21.3 meters to 15.94 meters. The recommendation of this report is that minor variance application A2723 be approved with the following conditions: that the development be completed in accordance with the site plan submitted, that a 20-day appeal period lapse prior to the issuance of a building permit, that the development meet all setback standards pertaining to hydro easements as well as sewage systems, that the requisite approvals be obtained from the following agencies prior to any new construction or site alteration, and that being Pro Valley Conservation Authority, that a building permit be issued within 18 months of the approval of this application, and that the balance of this report be received. So just a little bit about, or a little bit in relation to the analysis of the property. The total square metric of the following recreational dwelling unit, it's oddly shaped, and it's roughly 68.7 square meters, which roughly translates to about 740 square feet. The proposed single story addition will add roughly around 46 square meters, which is 497 square feet. This will be of habitable space to the existing recreational dwelling unit. The addition will be strictly limited to a single story extension with no height being proposed. That would have the effect of either lengthening the existing roof line beyond the existing standards or adding a second story. Furthermore, the existing lakeside attached deck, or attached lakeside uncovered deck, will remain unaltered. The proposed extension of the uncovered deck will add roughly around 21.6 meters, which translates to about 232 square feet of space. It is unclear if the applicants have consulted Pro Valley Conservation Authority in relation to the proposed development. Considering the Conservation Authority's role in conforming with the provincial policy statements, a condition will be placed on this application that all requisite approvals be obtained from the local Conservation Authority prior to any construction or site alteration. The application, again, it was circulated to both CBCA as well as Peterborough Public Health, and approvals from both agencies are anticipated as part of the building permit process. We have determined, or this report has determined, that the proposed development meets all 4 tests of a minor variance. It is also consistent with the growth plan for the Greater Boulder Horseshoe, as well as the provincial policy statement. And at the time of the writing of this report, there have been no comments made from ratepayers. And again, those conditions are in place just so that we can ensure that Pro Valley Conservation Authority has been, they have been consulted, but they provide the requisite approvals. And that concludes my report to the committee.
Thank you very much for that report, Arya. I know the applicant is with us today, Mr. Wiggins.
Yes, thank you.
Do you have something you'd like to add, or your agent, is he with us today?
Did you say Matthew is on the?
Yes. Suppose his name. What's his name?
No, I don't
Matthew.
have anything substantive to add, except I'm looking forward to the Crow Valley approval in public health. So I can get going.
Okay, thank you. Does Vissers? Yeah, Mr. Vissers, do you have anything to add? It's not. We'll move right along. Is there anyone present or online wishing to speak in opposition of the application? Second time, anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Third and final time, anyone wishing to speak in opposition of the application? Is there anyone present or online wishing to speak in favor of the application? Second time, anyone wishing to speak in favor? Third and final time, anyone wishing to speak in favor of the application? Hearing no comments, I'll open up to the members of the committee for comments or motion. Mayor Martin, go ahead.
Yes, I'd make a motion that we approve application 82723 with the recommendations from staff.
So we have a motion to approve with the conditions that are listed by staff. Seconded by Councillor Flagler. Comments or questions? All in favor? And that's passed. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Problem, Mr. Wiggins. Move on to our final report here, 2823, Murray.
Through to the chair, application A2823 for applicant Neil Murray, owner of part lot 28, concession 8. That's the site plan is up right now, having a municipal address of 65 Fire Road 85G. I believe the address is a water access only. However, I mean, this application was circulated to our fire official as well as other township staff to determine, to clean up the address matter. I mean, it's a minor detail, just wanted to flag that. So the purpose of this minor variance application is to seek relief from section 4.37, 11.2.1C and 11.2.2.1 of the Township's Comprehensive Zoning Bylaw, 1995-42 as amended, to permit the development of a detached accessory structure in the form of a wood frame sauna with an abutting covered deck. This application will have the following effects. Number one, reducing the high watermark setback as per section 4.37 from 30 meters to 13.7 meters. Number two, reducing the minimum required front yard setback as per section 11.2.1C from 21.3 meters to 13.7 meters. And finally, number three, increasing the maximum total floor area of all accessory buildings or structures from 75% of the total floor area of the main building on the lot to 108%. The recommendation is that application A2823 be approved with the following conditions: that the development be completed in accordance with the site plan submitted, that a 20-day appeal period lapse prior to the issuance of the building permit, that the development meet all setback standards pertaining to hydro easements and sewage systems, that a building permit be issued within 18 months of the approval of this application, and then the balance of this report be received. So as my report has stipulated, the township has determined that the application meets all four tests of a minor variance. It is also consistent with both the provincial policy statement as well as the growth plan for the Greater Golden Horseshoe. Sorry, that's a mouthful. As the development is taking place on Jack Lake, which is outside of Crow Valley Conservation's watershed jurisdiction, the application was circulated to the Ministry of Natural Resources for commentary, as well as the health unit, Peterborough Public Health. And that concludes my report to the committee.
Thank you very much for that, Arya. Do we have the applicant or their agent with us today?
Yeah, Neil Murray, the applicant and the agent here.
Hi, sorry, what was your name again, sir?
Neil Murray.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
I have nothing to add. I already did a great job of explaining it, Mark.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there anyone present or online wishing to speak in opposition of this application? Second time, anyone present or online wishing to speak in opposition? Third and final time, anyone wishing to speak in opposition of the application? Is there anyone present or online wishing to speak in favor of the application? Second time, anyone wishing to speak in favor? Third and final time, anyone wishing to speak in favor of the application? Hearing nothing, I will open up the floor for the Committee of Adjustment for questions or a motion. Councilor Doherty, go ahead and make a motion to approve it as submitted, the conditions outlined with. We have a motion to approve with the conditions outlined by Aria. Moved by Councilor Doherty, seconded by Councilor Clement. Comments or questions, all in favor? And that passed. I believe that concludes our reports for today, so thank you for the reports today, Aria, very well done. And I'll just take a motion to adjourn the public meeting and return to our regular public meeting. Moved by Councilor Doherty, seconded by Councilor Clement, all in favor? And that's passed.
Thank you. So the next part of our meeting here, we're going to move into planning reports, and the first item on the agenda is point application for severance. Are you?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. So the subject of this report is the creation of a new lot application B18118-17, which is an amended application. So an A2, Nature's Point on Round Lake. This is, again, it's an amendment to an application that had previously gone before council, which council had approved. So the purpose of this report is to provide background information regarding the proposed creation of a new lot. And the recommendation is that council advise Peterborough County Land Division that the township endorses the amended consent application B118-17A2 and having assessment roll number 1531-010-004-35100 as submitted by the property owners of the subject property. This recommendation comes with conditions in the sense that one, $1,000 cash in lieu be provided or paid to the municipality for the new lot being created, so that hasn't changed. That an entrance permit be successfully obtained by the township's public works department for the severed lot being created, again, not changed. That a rezoning of the retained and severed parcels be obtained to the satisfaction of the municipality, that still remains untamed. And as well as the recalculation of MDS to be provided in conformity with the provincial policy statements. So the recommendations haven't changed. So just a little bit about background on this property. The owners of the subject property filed for consent applications to essentially create 3 new lots. This was exemplified as applications B116, 117, and 118-17. I know it's hard to keep track of that, but essentially it was 3 different consent applications to create new lots. Each new lot being created would have afforded the same frontage as shown on the original applications. In May of 2023, Township Council endorsed these 3 applications, and the municipal appraisal forms were sent to the Secretary Treasurer of the County of Peterborough in order to provide township commentary regarding these applications. However, shortly after the appraisal forms were sent to the County of Peterborough, township staff were advised that consent application B11817 had been further amended. Application B116 and 117 were left pretty much unaltered. And this is why the new application before us or before council's consideration is B11817, sorry, B11817A2, which is amendment number 2. If approved, lots number 1 and 2 will each comprise approximately 1.1 acres in area, with each being afforded 46 meters of frontage along Anderson Road. These lots again were left unaffected by any of the amendments to the application. The amendment to consent application increases the area of lot number 3, as we can see on the site plan above, in order to capture several existing structures, inclusive of a dwelling unit, which is currently being serviced by a septic system, several accessory structures, and an existing barn. And all these structures would be captured under the new lot. I believe the old application would have been those structures would remain on the retained lot as opposed to the severed lot. Now it's going to be presented and as presented here is now going to be encompassed by the severed lot. Therefore, instead of being 1.5 acres in area, the new configuration of lot number 3 would comprise a total of approximately 2.8 acres. As per the original consent applications, the retained lot would have comprised a total of 240 acres, and under the new amended application, it would be 238 acres. It is important to note that as a result of the current application, the retained lot based on assessment data provided by the Municipal Property Assessment Corporation would be entirely comprised of just accessory structures without a primary structure. So as far as the planning discussion, township staff have determined that the consent application continues, even with the amendment, continues to conform with the township's official plan. In terms of the zoning bylaw, the subject parcel is currently zoned as rural and seasonal residential, so it's a dual zoned lot. Single detached dwelling units are permitted within the rural zone as well as the SR zone, which is a seasonal residential zone, provided the lot has a minimum lot area of 3,035 square meters, which is roughly translates to about 0.3 hectares. The proposed severed lot and retained lots each exceed the minimum areas, minimum acreage as well as frontage, as shown in the zoning bylaw, so there is conformity there. Nature's Point is a commercial trailer park that is currently operating in the seasonal residential zone portion of the retained lot, and past documentation and reports indicate that the trailer park is considered a legal non-conforming use. Furthermore, and incidental to the information provided in the application, the amended application, I should say, severed lot number 3 again would now be encompassed by a dwelling unit, an assortment of accessory structures, as well as an existing barn. So a rezoning would be required to make sure that livestock facilities are not to be located within the existing barn, just so that it meets the MDS requirements or the minimum distancing requirements. As a result of the new lot configuration, a rezoning of the retained lot is still necessary. This is mainly due to the fact that the retained lot, as proposed by the amended application, would now be comprised of entirely of accessory structures without the presence of a primary structure, as the dwelling again now is being proposed in the separate law. So a rezoning continues to be recommended as part of the approval of this application or sent to the county land division, Peterborough County Land Division. Therefore, it is the township's planning opinion that the amended application conforms to both the township's official plan as well as the zoning bylaw. And based on the review of the subject application together with all the supporting material, it is the township's planning opinion that because the application continues to conform with the OP as well as the zoning bylaw, that council approved this application or endorse the application for.
I think we're still on minor variances. Anyways, you touched on lot number 3 having an existing barn and dealing with that in zoning, in a zoning amendment. If this goes to land division before that's done, will it get passed, do you think? Because the MDS for a barn is they're probably not going to be in favor of it, I would suspect.
Through to you, Mr. Mayor, I would absolutely agree with you on that. And that's a great observation in the sense that the deal is that there is a barn existing on this lot. You can keep it and all that stuff. It would just have to be rezoned to not allow for livestock facilities to be permitted within the park, just so that MDS isn't, an issue moving forward. Because if a barn is situated on the severed lot, then the new lots can't be created because that buffer, all those lots will be encompassed by that buffer. So again, that would be a condition.
Okay, great then. So Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, I was gonna make a motion that we approve it with the conditions, but just further to your comments, I think the mayor is right, because I'm on land division and that will be a problem moving forward in terms of the circumference of the barn or whatever they do that area. So if we could get that worked out before it gets to the county, it would definitely help the applicants moving forward. So I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, moved by Deputy Mayor Webb that we move the recommendation. Seconded by Councillor Flagler. Any questions or comments? Councillor Clement, go ahead.
You remember, so the 2 new lots don't have any kind of septic. There's no plans for septic at this point.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I would believe that there are going to be future residential structures going to be located. I mean, they're severing off the lot to propose new residential development. And yes, a permit from the health unit or whatever approval authority at that time that governs those systems, they would require it. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All in favor of the recommendation? Carried. Okay, the next item we have here is the report, B 123, fines, get a validation.
Through to you, Mr. Mayor. The purpose of this report is to provide background information regarding the proposed certificate of validation and to seek requisite direction of council. And the recommendation is that council advise Peterborough County Land Division that the township expresses no objections to the subject application, provided the following. And it's literally just one. The approval of the application is examined and supported by the Director of Planning at County of Peterborough, as they are the approval authority for these applications. Just in terms of commentary, the township has received an application for a certificate of validation. This is under section 57 of the Planning Act, and it's being referenced as the site plan shows up here, application V-1-23. Under section 57, subsection 1 of the Planning Act, a council that is authorized to grant consents, such as Peterborough County Land Division, for instance, have the ability to issue what is referred to as a certificate of validation. These certificates provide that prior contraventions of subdivision control provisions of the Planning Act are deemed to have no effect, essentially. No effect of preventing the conveyance of land or the creation of interest in the land. So in other words, a certificate of validation essentially corrects a Planning Act contravention that has already happened. And this would essentially provide the chain of titles. It would provide good title for that chain. Oftentimes, this is just a way to essentially correct errors, administrative errors. As for the attached guidelines, which I've attached to this report, the authors of the guide note that these validations of title involve legal ownership and usually do not pertain any form of a planning related matter. In other words, rarely are there any planning issues with these validations. And furthermore, section 57 of the Planning Act, it used to provide that no validation could occur without compliance with I believe the zoning bylaw as well as the official plan. That has now been repealed, actually. Additionally, the township's property assessment records seem to suggest that the westerly portion of lot 13, which is the one on the left over there, have been considered, essentially these three lots have been considered separate parcels of land predating the 1995 zoning bylaw. Therefore, given the information above, it is the township's recommendation that council forward to Peterborough County Land Division, citing no objections to the application, provided that the Director of Planning at the County of Peterborough vets and supports the approval of this application as well. And that concludes it.
Once again, we have a recommendation here. Thank you for your report on it. Both sides. Okay, moved by the recommendation of Councilor Doherty, seconded by Councilor Clement. All in favor? And that's carried. All right, our next item here is the creation of a new lot, application 4823.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, members of council, the purpose of, the subject of this application, or this report, I should say, is the creation of a new lot application B-48-23 in the name of Dean Fisher, who's the property owner. Mr. Fisher has retained the services of Kevin M. Duguay, KMD Planning, as his agent. The recommendation is that council advise Peterborough County Land Division that the township endorses the creation of a new lot being referenced as the above application, as this was submitted by Mr. Duguay on behalf of the property owners, with the following condition: that the $1,000 cash in lieu of parkland be paid to the municipality for the new lot being created, that an entrance permit be successfully obtained to the satisfaction of the approval authority governing the abutting local road network, that the County of Peterborough Planning Department ensures that the proposed new lot being created conforms again to the the minimum distancing separations of the MDS guidelines, and that the balance of this report be received. Just a little bit about background on this property. The property in question comprises approximately 15 acres together, with approximately 170 meters of frontage along both County Road 47 and Hubble Road. Both are, again, municipally maintained roads on a year-round basis. Albeit it should be noted that Hubble Road is a limited maintenance. That's just for your information. The subject lot is located in part lots 24 and 25 concession 8 in the Belmont ward. The application now before council was filed with Peterborough County Land Division in May of 2023. Submission for the consent proposal was subject of a preliminary severance review, and that was completed in March of 2023. Submission for again, it was subject of a preliminary severance review. No further studies were required as per the preliminary severance review. If approved, the severed lot will comprise approximately 1 acre, which is roughly translates to about 0.3 hectares in area, while the retained lot will remain roughly 13.3 acres, which translates again to 6.6 hectares. The township's official plan does provide further guidance on, policies that maintain good planning principle. The report has stipulated that it does meet the intent or the spirit and intent of the official plan. The subject site in terms of the zoning bylaw is currently zoned as rural in the township's comprehensive zoning bylaw. Single detached dwelling units are permitted in the rural zone, provided the parcels maintain the minimum frontage as well as acreage, and both lots do maintain that, both the retained and the separate lots. As per the planning justification report provided by Mr. Duguay, a rezoning will not be required for any of the new lots or the new lot being created, nor the retained lot. As the minimum standards under the rural zone are being met, there's sufficient area on each lot to accommodate both a dwelling unit and any private sanitary services. It is a township planning opinion that the proposed consent application conforms to both the official plan and the zoning bylaw. And based on the review of the subject application together, it would be recommended to endorse the application. And that concludes my report to council.
All right, then. So, yeah, it's pretty straightforward. The MDS comes into this one again. So I'm sure the county will be looking at that for any differences happen. So, anyways, what's council's thoughts? Go ahead.
Through you, Mayor Martin. So the one diagram here shows a shared driveway. So the severed lot couldn't have its own driveway. Do they want a shared driveway? That's sometimes a bone of contention.
Through to you, Mr. Mayor. Sometimes topography renders some properties difficult to maintain a driveway. And so I believe the driveway is going to be located on a county road, so it would be subject to their requirements and whatnot. But again, I believe when I was doing the analysis of this property, topography was a major hindrance in terms of separate driveways or entrances. So again, their planner has stipulated that a shared driveway is probably the best route, and subject obviously to the county of Peterborough's policy.
Yeah, and we're just reviewing the policy at the county now. There is issues around, they have a minimum distance apart, like for driveways, so that could come into it too. There's quite a distance that they have to be apart on a county road, so that could come into it, but sightlines will be the other. So.
And the last comment I'm going to make through to you, Mr. Mayor, to you, Councillor Clement, that is exactly why, in the background when I'm doing this analysis, that kind of is the thought. I mean, your mind kind of went where my head was going, and that's why one of the conditions is that an entrance permit be successfully obtained to the satisfaction of whichever authority it is. If it's on Hubble Road, it would be the township. If it's on county road, it would be the county.
Great. So, Councillor Doherty, go ahead.
So there is no driveway there now. Is that right through you, Mr. Mayor? That's
yes.
Okay, so they're going to do a mutual. Is there going to be a mutual driveway agreement and registered on title?
I would assume so, yeah. So Peterborough County might have, as Mr. Mayor has stipulated, they are changing their policy a little bit or amending it. They will probably have some form of an agreement, that's for sure.
Yeah. Is it going to be a condition or?
Through to you, Mr. Mayor. Well, the condition is simply that an entrance permit be successfully applied for. If they require some form of an agreement, that would be at their discretion.
So they won't, when it goes to the county, they'll look at their thing there, whether it fits in, and they'll make sure it's all taken care of. The one thing that, like I say, the county is looking at amending that policy because of over the years, it's appearing that they would like a little more flexibility because it is quite a distance on the county road. You have, I think it's like 1,000 feet or something like that. They have to be apart. So there is some of the lower volume roads might have an opportunity to be a little closer together. Okay, any other questions? So we have a recommendation here. Is anybody moved by Deputy Mayor Webb, seconder? Second by Councilor Clement, all in favor? That's great. Okay, and our last item on the thing is for Victoria Fudge, doing concession 7. Go ahead, Arya.
Mr. Mayor, members of council. So the request here from Victoria Fudge Methuen, concession 7, part lot 9 with the municipal address of 123 Cashbog Lake water access. The purpose of this report is to present for consideration and requisite direction of council, a request received from the property owner in relation to acquiring the abutting Shoreline Crown Reserve. This Shoreline Crown Reserve is currently owned by the Ministry of Natural Resources. The recommendation is that council direct staff to advise the property owner and the ministry that the township expresses no concerns with or objects to the proposed acquisition of the abutting Shoreline Crown Reserve as it is currently or presently under the ownership of the M&R. You kind of see it happening right here. I mean, this isn't really very accurate. I mean, they would need a survey to accurately delineate where those boundaries are, but this is roughly what's actually happening on the property. So just in terms of background, the municipality was in receipt of a request from Victoria Fudge regarding the proposed acquisition of the abutting Shoreline Crown Reserve. The property is described again as concession 7, part lot 9 with municipal address of 123 Cashbog Lake. MNRF has requested to be advised of any form of comments that the township has in relation to and that report concludes my report to council.
Okay, and these are pretty common, and the one thing that I've heard over the years is the big thing you don't want to see is if it creates an opportunity to sever the lot into 2 lots. That usually doesn't fly, but the waterfront, showing the waterfront is pretty common. People would like to purchase it, and they have to go through MNRF to do that. It's just looking for support here. So it's up to council here, or what's your thoughts? Councilor Doherty, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'll make them do it.
Okay.
Approve it as per the recommendation of staff.
Then
We'll get a chance if it gets back, if they want to do an extra lot.
yeah. Okay, moved by Councilor Doherty, part of the recommendation, seconded by Deputy Mayor Webb. Any other question? All in favor? Okay. That's the end of the planning report. Before we move to the delegations, I'm just gonna see if we want to take a 10-minute break and then we'll come back for the delegations that are for today. Anyone to move that? Okay. Moved by Councilor Doherty, seconded by Councilor Clement. 10 minutes, so we'll be back here at 10:02. All right, then, we're gonna resume the meeting. I'll look for a motion to resume, moved by Councilor Clement, seconded by Councilor Doherty, all in favor. And that's carried. Okay, our first delegation here is Bill Lett. Welcome, Bill. Quite a plan you had drawn up here, or a concept, I guess. So I'll open it up to you and we'll go through it.
Right. Thank you, Mayor Martin and Council. It's been a little while since I was here last. I was here just before the election, and we were discussing potential approaches for stakeholder engagement on the community center. We paused for spring and summer, and it was in August when we were asked back to start talking about the results of the community engagement on the community center project and to discuss some of the other capital projects that we had begun to do some analysis on. And it really seemed to make sense to come and give a fulsome capital project update and give you a sense of where things are at so that council can move forward and make some informed decisions on all of these projects. So if we start, the first project that we'll talk about is the Municipal Administration Building and the Public Works Yard. Come on. Doesn't like me, this, oh, there we go. Oh, it is working. Sorry.
All your dots are popping up.
Okay, so it's just not doing it on my computer. I mean, that's It's one of those days, I guess. The old town hall project, the community center project, recreation park project, and potentially the discussion around a health center and some of our experience with health centers. So let's start with the administration and public works yard. So we have done some analysis. This is what we would call just like a test fit, if you will. If we look at the concept site, here you can see Concession Street running north-south on the right side. The parcel that the municipality owns has a small street frontage, but then widens as it goes to the back. And so what we've looked at here is the opportunity for a municipal administration building in this location with its own entrance, vehicular entrance, parking in behind the building, and the opportunity for outdoor amenity space somewhere on the site. So this is just a very high level test fit to see what it could mean. But, you know, we do see a lot of opportunity for you to bring the community onto this site, whether that be for farmers market as an example, or a movie night, outdoor movie night or something like that. You've got a lot of space on this site, and I think a lot of opportunity to engage with the public on the site and think about active uses for the site as well. It's something we're considering on a couple of other municipal sites that we're currently involved in. Municipal administration building seems to be the project du jour of a lot of municipalities, and we're currently working with the County of Peterborough on their project, and Township by Penetanguishene on their new municipal project as well. And one of the things that is common to all these projects is this idea of active public space on the site and what that could be. So certainly lots of space here. The new public works building we're showing at the back of the site, and the opportunity for a dedicated road and the salt sand storage as well, with associated yard, etc. This has not been reviewed with the Conservation Authority. This was just a quick idea of looking at a test fit for the site, but fundamentally it would seem to work. And then a potential future phase, which could be a future ancillary building, and that you know, could look like a lot of different things. As an example, in other municipalities, we're looking at potential partnerships with the OPP as examples on municipal sites like this. Alternatively, EMS, fire. The footprint of the building that we're showing here is roughly 10,000 square feet. So there's a lot of potential other future uses that could happen on the site. And ultimately, if there was a formal master planning process that was done for this site, it could outline what other uses could be as well, based on municipal infrastructure needs in the municipality. But it was a fun exercise looking at this, because ultimately there is a lot of opportunity that we see on the site, and you could take it to the next stage and start further analysis on what that could be. Potentially, you know, I'm aware that the OPP is looking for possible future detachments. This would be a good location for such a building as well. So how that plays out more in a 3-dimension. This is looking southwest. So Concession Street's in the bottom left of your screen, with the idea that the municipal administrative building would be at the forefront of the site, and then the public works at the back of the site there. Looking northwest. Looking northeast, and then southeast. We also thought we would just do a test fit. So working with staff, we looked at the functional program, or the types of spaces that might be needed in the administrative building. We only did a very preliminary analysis of that, and there's a lot more work that needs to be done around that. But fundamentally, the footprint that we were showing on that site was based on this very, very schematic plan that shows a municipal admin building that contains a new council chambers, a very large public space that the council chambers could flood into, that could be a public use space, has public washrooms, etc. And then the administrative offices running down a spine of the building. This was literally just a really high level test fit just to kind of get a shape for the building and to see if a long linear shape might work on that site, given the street frontage that we're dealing with. And really excited about the potential. Like, I think this, working with staff and the community to develop what this building should be, and with council, could be an amazing process. But fundamentally, we think that there's a lot of opportunity that the site holds to develop this. So this was a fun kind of test fit exercise that we've done just to do the analysis on the site. And then ultimately what the next steps would be to further develop the plans for the administration building and the works yard. And we would want to move into a pre-consultation phase so that we have planning input and input from the authorities having jurisdiction and understand the site better. And then work through an order of magnitude cost for these projects and come back and present all of this to council. So that is the administration and public works yard site. Next is the Old Town Hall. So when we met in August, we were asked for the first time to think about what this project could be. And ultimately, our observations are that you've got a really great municipal asset that's centrally located. A lot of communities are looking at what they might call a community hub project, which I'll explain a little bit more based on a project that we're doing elsewhere. And that really, I think you're at a point where a community engagement process could help council look at what the highest and best use is for this building. So I would like to show you some examples of what I'm talking about. So a precedent project that we're currently working on, that is currently in construction documentation, is a project that we're doing for a Bancroft. This is a library and learning commons. It's the ground floor of an affordable housing project that will have 3 floors of apartments above. The municipality, it's going to be in this case, what we've done is we've worked with the municipality to create a condominium corporation. So this is a strata ownership. The municipality will own the ground floor of the building, except for the lobby space for the apartments and the exit stairs for the upper apartments. And the municipality is going to create what they're calling their library and learning commons. So this will have a small periodical collection, so no books per se, but magazines and things like that. It's going to have 2 maker spaces, which is really exciting. So they went out and they asked the community what they needed, and there are a lot of youth in this community. And so there's going to be a maker space that includes a 3D printing room and a maker space that includes a music recording studio in the space. So pretty cool. They also are looking at hoteling desks. So these are desks that can be rented on a monthly basis by people who are starting up businesses, etc. So it's a small 6x6 workstation that you can rent on a monthly basis to get your business up and running, as well as computer workstations for those in the community that need to come in and use workstations that might not have internet in the rural parts of the community. We're really excited about this. It's been a really interesting process. We've been working about 1.5 years through this with the municipality. The community has been really engaged and have come to a series of sessions on this project, and we're excited to see it move forward. From a built standpoint, and this was a new slide that I've added since I think this document was circulated to you, is I thought it would be interesting to show a building of a similar vintage of yours. This is actually a church in Quebec that was renovated into a hub space as well. And in this case, you can see what the finished product looks like. I think this is really exciting for a community when you think about this type of space. So in this case, they've got a library, they've got hoteling desks, and then computer workstations as well. And so I can report that in this case, this project has been a huge success, and the building is closed on Mondays, and the council is deciding that they think they need to open it 7 days a week in order to support the project. So that was one thought of what your building could be, because it is centrally located and it has a similar feel to what you can see here. But fundamentally, what we do think needs to happen next is that you should develop a community survey, which we can help you with, to come up with what is the highest and best use for this particular project. And then based on that, we could develop a concept plan and develop an order of magnitude cost and present that to council. Next is the community center, which has been on the books the longest. And I think what's important here is after we came to council last, the decision was made to move forward with a community survey. So that community survey has been completed. And ultimately, the result of that is that the desire of the community is that there is a fitness and weight room in this facility, as well as a gym with a basketball court. So based on that result, we could do a very high level analysis to see what that might look like. And that is this drawing here. So on this drawing here, you can see number one is the gym and fitness room. This is a reasonable size block for this type of space. This is actually the same size space that we're doing for another community in Saugeen Shores in Port Elgin, Ontario. Port Elgin has a population of 9,000. We're currently doing a $50 million rec center for their community, which includes arenas and a running track and gymnasiums and all various stuff. But one thing it does include is a gymnasium. And so this is the same size. This is the same size as well as the gymnasium that we're currently doing for a private school. So we know that roughly speaking, the block for number one is about the right size. A gym with a basketball court, what we decided we would show is the smallest you could possibly put in place, just to give you a sense of what that would look like. So here you can see a regulation size basketball court with just enough runoff off the sides and a small bit of storage on the north end, a corridor in number 4 that connects all of these spaces, and then thinking about some type of new lobby space and washroom space at the front of the building, which is number 3. So we do this kind of block planning a lot with our clients, just to kind of get a sense of what we would be looking at. Fundamentally, we're looking at 27,000 square feet plus or minus to accommodate the program that the community said that they were looking for. And at a high level order of magnitude cost, we know from the report that was done in 2019, the capital cost upgrades of the existing building, what they are, and we've escalated those based on the Stats Canada rates of inflation that we've seen in the construction industry, which is, I can tell you, from 2019 to 2024 is 23% increases in construction costs. We've applied that to the estimate that was done in the 2019 report, and that gets us about $2 million to upgrade the existing building as is. That's just equipment, building envelope, finishes, etc. And then what we've done is we've taken a median cost per square foot of $400 a square foot. Right now, new construction for rec centers is sitting anywhere from $380 a square foot for an indoor turf facility to just over $800 a square foot for an aquatics facility. So we've taken $400 a square foot based on this being a gymnasium and a fitness center, which I think is a reasonable amount. I wouldn't want to go any lower than that at this point. Multiplied that, it's not, there's nothing special that we've done here. We've just multiplied that by the 27,000 square feet in the test pit, which gets us to $10.8 million. So that means construction cost only, we're looking at approximately $12.8 million. And then what we've done is we've added an allowance of 20% for soft costs. And again, this is just high level back of the napkin math. There's a lot more work done, but we have confidence that this is accurate enough based on past projects. So what are soft costs? Soft costs are development charges, permit fees, consultant costs, furniture. Basically, the way I like to say it is take the building, turn it upside down and shake it. And anything that falls out of the building is a soft cost, right? So things like the gym equipment is a soft cost because it would fall out if you turned it up or upside down. So that allowance is, I think, a reasonable allowance, but fundamentally it gets you to an order of magnitude project cost of $15.3 million to do everything that the community has asked on this particular building. And I'll caveat this and say, that could be plus or minus 20%. Once you get into the details and start working through the process and everything like that, that's what it looks like. So, I hope this is helpful because as a council, you're going to have to make a decision how you would like to move forward with this project. You have a grant in place from the federal government, which is fantastic. It has certain requirements that have to be met for it, but you have some money in place, and that is typically the case with all of the recreation projects that we are working on. But just so you're aware, in most municipalities where we're working, the grant represents usually about 30% of an overall capital project. And then the rest of that is being borne by the municipality. So this kind of fits into that when you look at that metric and see what it looks like. So I hope that's helpful and provides you with some level of high level information on what this could potentially look like. So really, as far as next steps, council needs to consider the scope of the project and debate what's appropriate for the municipality. And then based on that, we can further develop a concept plan and go into more detail and decide and see what that looks like and come back and present. Because at this point, this is just high level. As far as process is concerned, the next step would be we would, based on the direction that you would give us, we would develop the plan into proper drawings. We would go out to a third-party construction cost consultant that's familiar with this type of project. This is exactly what we did with Saugeen Shores. We're currently in the process of doing this with the City of Kitchener right now as well for a rec center that they're doing. And then it's one step at a time to help develop this. You may have seen that Clarington recently de-scoped their South Bowmanville project. That was a project that we did the feasibility study for as well. They've chosen to take the natatorium off the project at this point. And that was a decision that was made fairly late in the game. And so, you can take these steps to move the project along. But I think from a big picture standpoint, understanding what the appetite is for a total project cost for this project is what staff need to understand so that they can communicate that to us to look at what the next steps might be for this particular project. I'm going fast, I know, but I only have so much time and there's a lot to cover here. The next is the recreational park. So a few weeks ago, we were presented with the motion that council put forward and the staff approving the staff report to further analyze the recreation park. So what we're looking at is the 2 baseball diamonds, pickleball and tennis courts. And I can tell you right now that in every municipality that we're working, we're doing pickleball courts. It is certainly the thing that is popular right now when you look at these recreational parks. We've got 13 on the go in Kitchener right now, and we're looking at some in Saugeen Shores and in the city of Peterborough as well. So, and then the last piece, which I understand is a little controversial, that was part of the report though, is the idea of a potential dog park. So we can show where that might fit, and then you can decide what you want to do with that and whether or not that's appropriate in this location. But from our standpoint, as designers, we can do the test fit to see how it works. We may come back and say it could fit here perfectly, or we may come back and say maybe we need the real estate for something else. I don't know. But we are starting this work now.
Excuse me.
Is this,
Oh,
is the recreational park,
Yeah,
park
there's
up
no-
here, the corner we're talking about now?
there's no talking and there's no questions in this part. You can ask council that after, but yeah, this is just a high level overview of what's
Okay.
possible.
Okay.
Okay.
So next steps on this, the scope of the project, i.e. the dog park, needs to be decided once we've done some work. So we're developing the concept plan now and the order of magnitude costing, and we'll come back and present that to you. Next is the health center. So in talking with staff, we obviously go way back to 2017 when thinking about a health center in this community. As far as the context is concerned, just so you're aware, municipal work and health are the two main things that we do at Lead Architects. So currently, we have just designed about 500,000 square feet of ambulatory care across the province in 17 different communities. And we have worked with municipalities on ambulatory care projects. So where the municipality is our client rather than a clinical group or another group like the Ministry of Health, as an example. Although the Ministry of Health funded projects are most of the projects that we do through the community health center model or the FHO model. We have worked with municipalities, and we did design a clinical space that could be added to the Station Place long-term care, which is now under construction. Congratulations. That particular project I'll show you in a second, but just as far as an example of some of the work that we've done. So this one's kind of near and dear. In 1988, Bradford had a population of 3,000 people, and they decided that they were going to invest in some municipal capital, and they built a library. The architect for that library was actually my father. And it was the pride of the community for a very long time. And then when the community reached 19,000, they realized that they needed a larger library and that they really needed to attract doctors. They had a very hard time because of Barrie to the north and Newmarket to the south in attracting doctors to Bradford. And so they said, could you do a scheme to show us how we could renovate this library into a medical center? We did that. And ultimately, the building was built out. It had space for 7 clinicians in the building, as well as a lab and diagnostic imaging. The municipality paid for the renovation 100%. In this case, because they wanted to make sure that they could attract doctors. So here you can see the ribbon cutting with council at the opening of this building. Ultimately, what they have done is that the municipality is the landlord in this building, and the doctors lease from the municipality. And the doctors have a reduced lease rate of about $14 a square foot for the space in the building. They thought they had lots of extra space when they built it with 7 practitioners. There were 3 that were interested in joining when we started the design. When we finished the design, they already had all 7 spaces full, and we've been trying, it's a very tight site. We've been trying to figure out how we can add to this in order to get them more space in the community. But based on that success, the neighboring community saw what they were doing. And the town of Innisfil came to us and said, hey, we want to do something similar, but we want to do it bigger and better. We started the functional programming with them, and it became clear that what was originally envisioned for this building was not big enough. There was a relationship that was struck with Royal Victoria Hospital. The hospital wanted to take 10,000 square feet for a satellite care center. It has 2-day surgery suites in it, as well as some other ancillary clinical spaces associated with the hospital. And we started to gauge interest from practitioners and stuff as we went. Ultimately, the building became a 47,000 square foot building when originally what was considered was 12,000 square feet. You can see on the top right there, we developed a training kitchen that gets used every single day in the community. There's people in there baking and making meals, as well as clinical space in the building, lifelong Labs has a space in the building. Shoppers Drug Mart has a small little space in the building. The hospital is a tenant. Then there's 12 doctors, as well as a community room that can be rented by anybody in the community. And it's all accessed off this main spine. Again, the entire project, $19.8 million, was paid for by the municipality, the town of Innisfil. At the time, they were a population of 13,000 people, obviously growing. And the municipality still owns the building and is acting as the landlord in this case for all the tenancies. But it is a for-profit venture for the municipality. There are no subsidized lease rates, and the pharmacy in the space and Life Labs and Shoppers are paying premium rates as they would with any private developer of close to $60 a square foot. So it is a bit of a different model than the Bradford model in that sense. And there were $4 million worth of donations from the community that went into the project as well. So there was fundraising done by the municipality to help that. So it is named after the Rizzardo family, who are developers in the area. So I said I would show you some of the things that we have been doing from the health center side, but fundamentally what the Station Place project looks like is this. So when we designed the 128 bed long-term care facility, we specifically, and I don't have a laser pointer here, so is it okay if I move? I'm just gonna we specifically left the corridor coming right here in the building, and with the anticipation that there could be something in the future. So in 2017, council asked us to do this plan when the building was first conceived. And I think fundamentally it's still valid, and even what is being built today would allow this structure to happen. What it looked like then was this. So pretty traditional clinical design. We had a waiting area with a multi-purpose room that could be utilized by the committee. By the community rather. The intent was that potentially there could be some small training kitchen in that space for diabetes training, etc. We had clinical spaces, lab spaces, exam rooms. In this case, though, we also had dental operatory in the space, which wouldn't be necessary now, from what I understand, but fundamentally this works very well, and the site is currently designed to accept this. This is how it looks. The renderings of what is being built is the building in the background there. You can see the two-story tall main lobby space, which is part of the current project under construction. And this would just be an add-on to the front of the building with its own independent entrance. So that was the work that council asked us to do back in 2017 to show what a clinic could look like on this particular site with the relationship to the long-term care home. And yeah, I think it's still a valid proposition today in 2023. How did I do for time?
Very good, very good. So, okay, well, thank you, Bill. And yeah, I'm glad you said this is high level, and there's a lot of work left to decide, you know, what needs to be done, what's feasible for HBM. Right now, I think the two main things that are on our plate is because of the grant timeline is the recreation center. We need to come up with something that's workable there. Unfortunately, when we got the grant, since then, the price of everything has gone crazy. So we're gonna have to decide what we really can do there. All of the other things, I think, will probably come into our strategic planning session as far as some of the other things that you presented here. But right now, the ball diamond and the recreation center are kind of a priority, I think, and you know, it gives us an idea of what we can do here. But we're gonna have to really work on this. Some of the things around the administration building and the public works, like you say, high level. There's a lot of things to look at there around you know, the salt shed thing in the water protection area. That's been brought to our attention, and there's lots of other things that we'll have to look at. It looks like a big piece of property, but with the hydro lines and all the things around it, there's going to be some challenges there to fit everything in that we need to fit in. And that'll be the decision of council is what we want to have there. The idea back when we purchased the property was to have something shovel ready on the shelf that if a grant came along, we're ready for it. And, you know, and it's possible to jump right into it like others have done. There's lots in this area that have had things sitting on the shelf all ready to go, because that's usually the problem is the grant comes out and you got, you know, a month to get something in. Well, we'll have hopefully something ready that, if you know, if it's something that council wants to do, we can make the timelines work. So, yeah, so I'm gonna open it up to council. Like I say, and I'm glad you said this is high level and very preliminary. But it's nice to see a vision to help people, you know, see the opportunities that we have there. But it's always going to come down to the dollar in the end and how we can make it work. So, council, got any questions for Bill? Deputy Mayor Webb, go ahead.
Thank you very much for the presentation, Bill. One question. I think you said the new admin building would be 10,000 square feet. So for comparison, what are we in right now? Do you know what the size of this building would be? Sorry to put you on the spot.
Through you, Mayor Martin, guessing you've got maybe 4,000 square feet.
So we're doubling. I just want to gauge in terms of how much bigger we're getting, because as the municipality grows, we're already in a situation here where we've got employees working in the basement and other places.
I think fundamentally
enter into that, you know, a year or two after we have a new building. So
we use that number for the test fit. So staff gave us a list of program elements. So, you know, number of staff, number of potential offices, et cetera. We extrapolated just to kind of come up with that, but there needs to be a deeper dive done on the space allocation and what you need, and also thinking about the future as well.
Okay, any other questions?
Yeah, Mayor, great presentation. My one concern about the municipal building, is there any chance that because we're sharing the driveway with the public and with our trucks, going through, could you take a secondary road at the beginning, go in, veer off to the left for our trucks, our dumpsters, that kind of thing? Is that possible?
Through you, Mayor Martin, like we have to look at it, like right now we're showing a shared entrance only because we're under the jurisdiction of the Ministry of Transportation. The sight lines are extremely bad in that location because of the concrete abutment and the hydro tower that's in place. And so what we showed was that one entrance diverging into two separate drive aisles immediately after coming on site. There's a whole traffic analysis that would have to be done with that understanding. Absolutely, that you've got, you know, major equipment coming in and out of that site. But I would guess that MTO would be telling us that their desire would be for us to only have one entrance on that site, but that would be part of the pre-consultation process that we would go through and hopefully involve them in that.
So, sorry, I guess what I was suggesting, we keep the singular road going in, but once you're in on our property, and you split it off.
And that was what we had showed. It's a little hard to see, but there were two separate roadways. Yeah.
I was thinking to the property line, so the public isn't.
Yeah.
With our vehicles.
Yeah, fair enough.
Okay. Thank you.
So all of that will be a discussion once we get farther along onto that project, others to make it work. Any other questions? Councillor Doherty, go ahead.
For you, Mr. Mayor, the ball diamonds and so on. Are we going to service it for water and sewer? Is that in your thoughts, or how will we?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I don't think we've gotten to that point yet on servicing. I think we have to have a discussion about what some of the facilities are on the site. You know, certainly that you have to have support infrastructure on the site. So what does that look like? How does it get serviced exactly? Like, I think that's all part of the work that we're just getting started on right now.
Thank you.
Yeah, and some of these things may be a phased in thing, like they're like with the cost of all of these things to happen, I'm sure it's going to be a lot of phasing in, like year 1, 2, and 3 type of thing. So yeah, so but there will probably have to be something there eventually, but yeah, so I'm glad to hear that you're looking at that anyway. So any other questions?
Okay. It's really, sir, just for clarification, you made a comment about the the church renovation in Quebec. And then you referenced that now they're open on Mondays. They're open every day except Mondays, but now they're open on Mondays. But just to comment, I'm just trying to read it. Were you saying that they're opening Mondays because they're trying to bring in more money, or because they're so busy that we had to open Monday?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So they were open 6 days a week, and it was such a popular space that the people using the building asked if it could be open 7 days a week.
I figured that's what it was, but I'm just saying in terms of us, if we're gonna get into some, because it looked very nice, but I mean, if we're gonna do the same here, right? I don't want to hear reports of people, council keeping it closed because people aren't using it. So I figure that.
Yeah. Like the reality is that type of space needs a lot of analysis, because fundamentally it requires probably a single FTE that manages that space and runs that space, right? So that's an ongoing operating cost commitment that the council would have to consider if it was that type of space. Like, it's one example, and maybe the community has other ideas that would come out of a consultation process. But it's an interesting one, because I think, Bancroft is a very small community. And we were really excited when the results of the survey came out that they really wanted a youth-focused space in the heart of their community, and that they felt that things like a recording studio and a 3D printing room were appropriate.
Thank you.
So as we move forward, I think, like, what is possible and what isn't, and what's the wish list and what isn't. So the recreation center was a good example. So most of these things we will be going out to the public for surveys. We did that with the recreation center. Now it's up to council to decide what's affordable, what can we really do. Most surveys are a wish list. This is what I want. So you try to work with them as much as you can. But it's going to come down to, what we really possibly put on there with the money that we were given with the grant. It's just a small part of what it's going to take to put anything on there now. So it'll be good discussion, and hopefully we can get something to you. But I think, like I say, the ball diamonds and the rec center are things that are on the table right now, and the medical center is kind of in there too, as far as once they get farther along with the long-term care. We're going to have to start looking at that part of it, as we said we would, to see if that's the route we want to go. That picture you showed there, I remember when that came, I said it was almost as big as Camelford Hospital, with all the rooms that were in there and stuff. But now that the dental office isn't ours, and do we want to compete with that? That'll be some of the discussions when we get into our strategic plan, I'm sure. And can we downsize it a little bit? What's something, like the deputy mayor said, that's going to work for the future, but not be over the top. So anyways, I thank you, Bill, for this, and look forward to working with you to try and advance some of these projects along in some way or another. So if there's no other questions, I will look for a motion to receive the delegation. Moved by Councilor Doherty, Councilor Clement, all in favor, and that's carried. Well, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, council.
Okay, so our next item on the agenda is MTO. And I'm not sure who's all here, but who's going to take the lead here. But welcome. It's good to see you here, and look forward to hearing more on this report. It seems like a long time ago we were talking about this, and we're still talking about it. So hopefully things are going to start moving ahead here. So you're taking the lead?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor Martin.
Your name?
Darren Waters.
Okay.
So I'm Darren Waters, area manager, highway engineering.
Sure. Okay.
MTO in Kingston. Presentation. I have Lori Brake is here with me. We will take turns with the first presentation. We actually have two presentations for this morning. Renee Bowman is going to present the second presentation, which is our detailed design assignment, which is currently underway for the left points on Highway 7 at Belmont 6 and at Belmont 2nd Park Road. And then we also have Michael Samoya over there, and he's an engineering intern with us, and he's working in Maury's group and basically assisting as well.
So for today, it's a presentation to council. And if there's any questions from the public, reach out to council and share your concerns and we'll look into it from there. So for today, we'll just take the. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. So the first presentation we'll run through is the Highway 7 / Ottawa Street operational performance review at the Mary Street intersection. Top line.
First arrow there. Right.
Maybe it doesn't.
I can just progress it.
Yeah, if you could, please. Yeah. Thank you very much. So the purpose of the presentation today is to share the results of 2022 operational performance review that the ministry undertook at the intersection. Discuss opportunities for future action and to come back and reconfirm that we did previously make an offer to start the detailed design for left turn lanes there with collaborating with yourselves and Peterborough County. Next slide, please. So just a quick overview. And the reason why we continue to say it's a collaboration between the three levels of government is the shared ownership of the intersection. So green represents the ministry ownership. So Highway 7 basically starts at the intersection and heads to the east. We have a bit of additional width there for sight triangles, etc., on the south and north side of the intersection. We do have a red area there. As you may recall, there was a preliminary design completed a number of years ago that considered a long-term realignment of Highway 7 to improve the approach to that intersection. So anything that's red has been designated through that environmental assessment and preliminary design that was completed as required for future highway purposes, but is currently not owned because we have not moved forward with that project at this time. The yellow is within the township's jurisdiction. So the Ottawa Street connecting link of Highway 7. And then obviously north and south of the intersection is also not MTO owned. Next slide, please. So why did we complete this operational performance review? So we had received through you a petition from concerned residents back in 2022, again, about the need for traffic signals at the intersection of Mary Street and Highway 7, and also concern for pedestrians crossing at that location. We had previously completed an operational performance review here back in 2018. So in response to that concern being raised, we decided to go out and renew that operational performance review with new data from 2022 to determine whether there'd been any changes to the traffic patterns, to see whether anything else has been triggered. We did, after we completed the 2018 operation performance review in 2020, we had offered to start a left turn lane design because that was the outcome of that 2018 operational performance review, was that the intersection could benefit from a left turn lane. The left turn lane that benefits the most is within the township's jurisdiction. There isn't a need for a left turn lane on the ministry side, but we made the offer to start that detailed design just to get it going, and we looked for contributions or an indication from the township and the county that they would be agreeable to contributing to the funding of construction in the future. So again, that 2022 OPR, which we're going to present here this morning, was really just an update just to see whether things have changed. I'll pass it on to Lori now. He will run through the results of that.
Thank you. So our operational performance review involves three main tasks that we do. The first one is we do a bit of a desktop exercise. So we gather new data on volumes and speeds. We look at the warrants and stuff. We complete a field review. So we get out, we get some observations, we get an idea of what's happening in the corridor. And then they go back and they do what they call a diagnosis and countermeasure exercise. So it's taking the data and the field observations. It's looking for areas where there may be problems and concerns, and what are potential countermeasures, ways that we can look to address those. So within our OPRs, we did it in the 2018-19 OPR that we repeated again in 2022, was gathered all new data through the corridor, did that field review and everything. And we went back and revisited a lot of the same things again for, do we warrant left turn lanes, illumination, traffic signals. We looked at access, so how people are coming and going at the intersection and the nearby businesses. We also added to the 2022 operational performance review. We were looking specifically as well at pedestrians. So was there pedestrians through the intersection and where were they moving to? Because that was something that was brought forward to us as a concern. Next slide. So the main outcomes of our updated OPR was that going back through all of the records and reviewing things and talking with the OPP and that, we were unable to find any reported collisions that had occurred at the intersection from 2018 to 2022. So one of the things we do look at is what types of collisions are happening. Are those an indication of something? But we haven't been able to find reported collisions through this area for the last several years. They went back and revisited whether or not a set of traffic signals are warranted. So we look at a variety of things for warranting traffic signals. One is collision history. We look at the overall volumes from all approaches and what the delay is. And based on the calculations in that, traffic signals are not warranted at this time at this location. When it comes to the pedestrians, they reviewed that. So a few things that the ministry takes into account with pedestrians when we're looking at whether or not facilities are recommended is we look at the operating speed of a facility. So the ministry does not move forward with any kind of pedestrian facilities if your operating speed is greater than 60 kilometers an hour. We also don't look at putting pedestrian facilities in if you have a very high commercial component, as well as we look at the number of people that would be utilizing the facilities. So in part of the review, there's a lot of safety concerns with considering anything at the location. So it didn't trigger it for the number of people crossing, but we had a lot of concerns with what the overall operating speed is through there of the vehicles. And again, just the overall volume. So in the review, it was suggested that that is not an appropriate location to look at, but if the municipality would like to, then there could be further work done to look at locations within the connecting link portion that might be more suited to having pedestrians crossing the roadway with the facility. We also looked at the accesses around. So I know when we were out in 2019, 2020, when we were here, we had a lot of concerns that were raised around the businesses. Part of it was where they were placing their signs to advertise they were open and where people were parking and stuff. And so again, the similar concerns were raised within our most recent review. Because they're on the west side of the intersection, they're not within the ministry's jurisdiction. However, moving forward with a left turn lane design, we have opportunities where we could be looking at the accesses and ways to improve for sight lines there. Because depending on where people are parking and where they put their signs, it is very challenging for people to see the traffic coming. Next slide, please. Speaking specifically to the traffic signals, because I know this was raised as part of the petition, when we're considering traffic signals, again, we do look for some of those warrants that indicate that the operations would benefit from it. Specifically, we're looking at things like the overall volumes, the delay to the crossing side roads, as well as the collision history. A lot of people have asked us about putting signals in as more of a traffic calming thing, but traffic signals are intended to go in for right-of-way control as opposed to the traffic calming side of it. And that's to help give right-of-way when it's conflicting movements. Again, the ministry looks for the justification to put them in. We don't look to move forward at locations with a set of traffic signals that don't warrant a set of them, simply because when you put in a set of traffic signals, you're actually introducing delay. So yes, there may be times where people are waiting to get off the side roads. You increase the delay all the way around on all approaches, which we try to avoid doing. When it comes to the collisions, certain types of collisions can be corrected with the installation of traffic signals, but for the ones that you expect to correct, like the angle type, where people are turning and someone hits them head on, those are corrected, but you actually do tend to see an increase in collisions such as rear ends. So for an area where we're not finding reported collisions, it would be a big concern to the ministry to introduce something that would likely cause collisions to start. When you put in unwarranted sets of traffic signals, you have a road network that goes around the intersection, and you tend to find that people are then going out of their way when there's a lot of delay to avoid it. So you actually change the traffic patterns, and you can create issues on other roads that weren't there prior to installing the signals. And then putting in unwarranted signals, especially when you're stopping people, which normally would have free flow now, can lead to a bit of a disrespect. So they're disobeying the traffic control. And that's a greater safety concern when people do things like run the red light because they don't think they have to stop and create some more severe collision. Next slide, please. When it comes to potential improvements that we might be able to make, when it comes to the sight lines, again, there was 2 obstructions that were noted in our field observations on the west side of the intersection with where people were parking and types of signs, et cetera, out blocking that visibility. We have a corridor management office within our organization that would be willing to work with the municipality. So it's not our jurisdiction to enforce our rules on, but we would be happy to work with to look for solutions for how to manage the accesses. So in the photo, you can see there's a vehicle parked out right up along the sidewalk, which creates, you can't see if you're trying to see past them if people are coming out, but there's ways that you can manage the site itself through entrances and islands and stuff to keep them back so you have that site triangle. And again, that could all be something that if we did move forward with our design for left turn lanes, that could all be incorporated into that as well. The other thing, sorry about that. Jump to. So the vehicle speeds. So that was something that was brought forward in the 2018-19 OPR and comes up again, is what the actual operational speeds are. So what are people doing? We know it's posted 70 that drops to 50 in and around the intersection as you're coming in. And based on the information that we gathered, as well as in discussions and information from the OPP, is we are seeing people that are traveling 10 to 15 kilometers above. So it's not necessarily unexpected to see people driving that 10 to 15 over the speed limit. We just do hope that when they come into a built-up area that they really do slow it down. There was some, again, we've had ongoing discussions with the OPP, and we continue to have that dialogue in a lot of areas with ways that we can try to address it from both sides. Some of the recommendations and suggestions that came out of it was there is a radar speed sign as you're coming in, is to have a supplemental speed limit sign. So we have one coming in on our jurisdiction where the speed limit does drop to 50, but to reinforce downstream of the intersection before that sign. And again, it helps to reinforce when people see that, you know, this is what they're doing here, but this is what the actual speed limit is. So again, the OPP would ideally, if they have the opportunities, would continue to do targeted enforcement through the area, but trying to address it with some of the signing stuff that goes through. And we're happy to work with the municipality on, you know, where the best spot to put the signs would be, and things like that. We'd be happy to reach out. Get back to you.
On to the next longer term improvements. So, as mentioned, the volume of traffic turning north, so heading out of the village and heading north on the county road is high enough. The proportion is high enough to support a left turn lane at that intersection. Currently, the way the lanes are marked in that location is the through lane is shared with left turning vehicles, and there is a right turn taper to the south. So basically what we would propose to do is undertake a design to convert that inner lane to a separate left turn lane. Then you would move the through traffic and right turning traffic down to the south of the intersection to move through. What that does though is that, as you can appreciate on the east side of the intersection under the ministry's jurisdiction, there would be significant widening to accommodate bringing that through lane back to the through eastbound lane to continue east. Although the volume of left turners in that direction isn't high enough to support putting in a left turn lane, you're essentially building a left turn lane anyways because you've widened out for the northbound left turn lane. So the approach would be to basically build a left turn lane for that southbound move as well on the Ministry side, and have a through right lane again on that on the approach into town. Next slide, please. So what we'd like to again propose to the municipality and the county is that we would undertake that left turn lane design at our cost. However, we're not in a position to fully fund the construction. The challenge for us is that the left turn lane isn't actually warranted on the Ministry side. It's warranted on the municipal side. And again, the funding for us is based on a prioritized basis of looking at improvements across our entire network. So it wouldn't be possible for us to fully fund the construction, but we would hope that the municipality and the county would be willing to contribute to a construction cost share in the future on that. Slide. And Lori mentioned access management. So one of the benefits, of course, again, of doing that left turn lane design would be that there would be a need to undertake a review of the accesses in the general vicinity of the intersection. If you're moving traffic to the south there, you tend to try to move accesses to properties away as far away from the intersection as you can. So that would be an opportunity for us to work with the property owners and the township and the county to make sure that we can get the most optimal access configuration in that location. And as Lori mentioned, next slide. So one of the challenges, I guess, with bringing vehicle speeds down into the village is visual cues. So as it currently stands now, it looks more or less like a rural highway coming into a village. What we would propose is that as part of that left turn lane design into the Ministry's jurisdiction, that we would be able to incorporate some urbanizing effects. So perhaps narrow the lanes up, some gutters, some sidewalk, something else to make it look more like you're coming into the and give people the visual cue that they're coming into the village and that they do. So in summary, again, what we are proposing again is to renew that offer to undertake that detailed design and EA for the future left turn lane at the Ministry's cost. What we would seek though is support from Township Council and County Council that there's an understanding that in the future when it goes to construction, the Ministry can't fund it completely on our own. We'd be looking for partnership from the municipality and the county on that. And once we get, should we agree to do that and we get underway, we can continue to collaborate and work on the design and any short-term improvements that we feel necessary. That was it for the first presentation, Mayor. Would you like questions now?
I think we'll do it in the two parts. So the one thing I had here was with regards to I hate it when I know everybody does it, but the accident count for an intersection, like wait till it happens and then we can maybe deal with it. And that's the thing that I struggle with all the time whenever I hear that, because I would rather work proactive and get ahead of it. The left turn lane, if it's in the connecting link, would we be able to apply for a connecting link grant to help with that then? And I know you say you can't pay for it, but would that be something to approach our MPP for as far as help for that if we were going to look at that? I would think it would be eligible myself, yes. Okay, and as you heard before this meeting, some of the thoughts around ball diamonds and construction to the south of that intersection is probably, there's a chance that it's going to open up a lot of traffic wanting to use that intersection. So I don't know how often you do the traffic count. I know years ago when the Jamboree was happening, that intersection was probably one of the busiest ones on Highway 7. at certain times. But if we were to do any development on the south side of 7 there, it's gonna change all the numbers that you have now that you're working with. So I would hope that you would relook at that as far as for traffic signals and things like that, because like I say, I hate to wait until somebody gets killed at the intersection and then say, oh, we should have, when we've been talking about it for so many years. But that's all I had. I'll open it up to council here. So, Deputy Mayor Webb. And then,
Sorry, I lost the slide there. I think it was on the first slide. You had, where you had the different areas of the intersection.
Yes, there's definitely, yeah.
You had the red area. I don't have it now. Yes, which is designated, but you guys don't own it. I imagine that was done back in 2018. I think we had that discussion in terms of the sight lines coming out of town there, and possibly the MTO would like to acquire that part. They would like to acquire the property to straighten the road out. So I understand where we're going with left turning lanes here. However, 5 years ago, we were told it was a different problem in terms of that road needs to be straight. So I mean, we can, to me, are we putting in left turning lanes, but still leaving the old problem that's there, and that you're gonna have that turn going out like a blind over the hill turn?
Yeah, I mean, that would be part of, obviously, the design that we would look at is to make sure that sightlines are being met as far as the horizontal and vertical geometry. And at this point in time, though, we don't see the justification to move forward with that realignment at this time. And what I would suggest is that we get into the detailed design and start looking at it and make sure that we can meet all of those design parameters, minimum sightlines, etc. Before we get too far into it.
Okay, I'm just a little confused in that 5 years ago, we were told that was the problem. And now we're told that 2 left turning lanes are gonna help solve this problem. So I'm just wondering where the change of heart came from, right? In terms of, because to me, there is a sight line issue. You come out, so I don't know if it's, you referenced here that you don't have money to do some of the, is it a money issue in terms of, acquiring that land is gonna be tricky for you guys or tricky for us? Because what I'm concerned about, probably the rest of council, is public safety here, or the safety of our residents. So I don't want to go, especially something like this, for the cheap way out or the easy way out. So that's why I'm asking. In that you guys came here 5 years ago, you told us that was going to be, now you come here and that's not even a part. You said it might be a part of it. We might cut the grass or something, but to me, if we're going to move forward, I would want to see, some kind of plan in terms of acquiring that property to fix the road properly, because otherwise you're still gonna have the same problem. You come in, it's over a hill and there's a turn there. So you can put the extra lanes there you want, but there's still a sight line problem in terms of what's coming ahead, especially coming into a town where the speed drops. So.
I mean, my comment to that is that we do, we are engineers, we are professional engineers, and we do have standards that we design to. And so that we do design our highways to a minimum standard. We can identify that there was a deficiency there in the OPR. So I would, our responsibility is design highways to minimum standards and see them where we can and build them safe. So
thank you. I'm not trying to get on you. It's just in terms of us moving forward. I could go with the 2 turning lanes even, right? But I would also like to see, as I said, the rest of that road fixed, as I was told 5 years ago it should be. Because as of now, I haven't been told something's changed in the last 5 years. Why we were told it should be fixed in 2018, and all of a sudden it doesn't need to be fixed. We just need to.
I think, sorry, Mr. Mayor, but I think I've always believed that was identified as the long-term plan for that section of road. So it wasn't the first event that was to be undertaken there. So it was always the plan for the long-term future when it warrants.
But just to be fair, we're at 5 years, so I don't know, I guess it depends on what long-term is, but for me, 5 years is getting towards long-term.
Fair enough.
We're not going to be here forever, so.
Fair enough, but point taken.
And one thing that's changed since 5 years ago is the property is for sale right now, and there's an opportunity. So it makes it a little easier than it was 5 years ago to look at adjusting the boundaries there. So anyways,
that's good information.
Okay. All right then, Councilor Flagler, go ahead.
Yes, through you, Mayor Martin. Great presentation. I have been down to Mary Street. So when you're doing the left turning lanes coming out of town, Does that mean a straight lane is gonna go through, or are you now putting the straight lane with the right lane to go south onto Mary? That's what the problem is. These people that are turning left, everybody else is just zipping around. So when you come up on Mary Street and you've got Woody Burger there, and if somebody is parked there, you pretty much have to go into that turning lane in order to see the traffic that's coming. But because that person is turning left, everybody just whips around. And I mean, I've sat there, you can watch 6, 7 people do it within 10 minutes. Everybody does it. You know, it's just, that's the way it is.
Yeah.
So I was curious. And as for walkers down in there, it's too dangerous. I've done it and I'll never do it again. So with this new park being added, my concern is kids that want to go down to this new baseball diamond picket field. How are they going to get down there safely? Because it's not safe, and we all know that, so we stay away from it. Like number 7 is crazy. It's crazy.
Through your mayor.
Sorry.
The intent would be to separate the left turning, so the left turning vehicles would have their own lane.
Right.
And then the through traffic would come down to the south, so that anytime it comes through the intersection, all the through traffic would have to take that south route.
Okay, because right now it's a turning lane to go right, and they're not using that as a turning lane to go right. So I mean, it's hard to say when you're a driver if that person is gonna, and I've seen accidents on there. I understand that you don't have those reports, but there have been accidents there. I don't know, maybe they're not recorded, I don't know, but.
Through you also, Mayor, I mean, that's information that we would love to have, because again, we've looked through anything that's reported to the police comes to our database, but if it's not reported.
That's what I'm saying, yeah, so I'm presuming that they're just not reported, maybe fender benders or whatever.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Right, comment, go ahead.
I'm for the report.
Through you, Mayor. So the other day I sat at Mary Street. I couldn't make a left-hand turn to go west. There was too much traffic. I had to go right, go up to Wellman and cross over that much farther in. My house overlooks number 7. Sunday nights, it is bumper to bumper stopped. When was the last time that like one of those counters was put across to check?
We did turning movement counts last year. So we had somebody that went to the intersection and they record all the movements. So lefts, rights, throughs from all approaches, and they count pedestrians and cyclists through the intersection as well. So normally when we conduct those on a typical day for design purposes. And that was done, I believe, in July 2022.
Okay. So you don't do it on a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday?
Our typical approach to when we look at the needs and when we're looking at the justification is on your typical weekday. We have in some cases gone back and looked at, but from making design decisions, we usually base it on the weekday numbers that we would get.
So my thing is, we live in cottage country. Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays is crazy. I agree with Councilor Palago. I won't cross 7 anymore. It's just too dangerous. There's nowhere for our pedestrians to cross. Where I live, I have to go to the far end of town, walk to the light. If I want to make a left-hand turn, it's crazy. I just wish maybe you could relook at the weekends and our cottage situation, because it is bumper to bumper.
We can revisit the warrants and gathering the data now, recognizing it is mid-October. So the best time for us to be gathering that type of data is going to be next year now. So we can be scheduling counts to be conducted as early as into June, which is when we start to see some of that traffic pattern, and we can look to do the weekend counts. Unfortunately, when it comes to pedestrians and having them at the intersection, it's not something, because of your speeds and everything, that we would want to put any pedestrian facilities there at. So the safety of pedestrians there, when we look at the facilities, it's, if you look at the manuals and stuff and the pedestrian type crossings, the recommendation is not to do it at a location like that, unfortunately. We are happy to work with the municipality to see if there's another location within the connecting link that might be better suited from a safety perspective to do pedestrians and crossings. We're happy to work with you on that one. It's just at that particular intersection, our speeds are much too high to have pedestrians crossing at that type of facility.
So that'll be something for the future, I'm sure. And yeah, I was saving that for the next part, but I think you do need to do some weekend traffic counts, like whether it's Norwood here, Marmora. Last Friday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I waited 5 minutes to make a left turn to come into here because of the traffic coming from Marmora way. On any Friday or Sunday, it's backed right through town to the other end of town going west and the other way. Whether it's Norwood or here, you're backed up past Stewart's in Norwood and here we're out by the market or the you know, halfway to Norwood almost. So I think you need to look at the traffic counts on the weekends because we are a weekend.
So we're happy to revisit that again.
Yeah.
So the best time of year, I guess, to be looking at that with the cottage fluctuations and stuff would be next year. Again, we can start doing that into June when people are starting to go to their cottages. But I mean, we can go and count it now. It's just not necessarily representative of that.
If you could start planning for it, that would be
Absolutely.
perfect. Councillor Doherty, go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. I think somewhere in the report it says the speed average is 10 to 15 miles over the limit. How do you feel putting left-hand lanes going both ways? Would that increase that number? Maybe they get up to 20 because there's no reason to slow down now. They can go right through each way. What about cutting the speed limit back earlier? Is that a possibility or how does that work?
So if we try to move the speed limit out further, the problem with that is you get some people that will slow down to it and the majority won't because there's no visual clues or anything to slow them down. So we can change the sign, but people are looking for what's comfortable in their surroundings. So when Darren mentioned through design, we can bring it out more urban looking. So with sidewalks and curbing and things like that, that will give that clue to help slow people down. It's a very wide open area. So people have that comfort level to drive that 10 to 15 over. And that's not uncommon. We find that in a lot of areas on the highway because again, we've got wide shoulders, everything is set back that people tend to feel more comfortable. If we change the actual platform and the look coming into it, that has a great impact on the operating speeds. So through putting left turn lanes in, you're right, people don't have to slow because there isn't a left turn vehicle in front of them, but we would hope to target it with the narrowing of the platform and how we do it.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I think you'll have to, look at it. I like the idea that urbanization is in the green area, so it's not on our dime.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's, okay, so we can move on to the next part here. Yeah.
Sorry, just one last question, through you, Mayor Martin. In your presentation, you talked about a shared cost with the county and yourselves for this left turn lane option. Do you have any sense of the cost of that project?
Through you, Mayor, no, we haven't started anything as far as looking at a conceptual cost. My thought was that if we undertake the detailed design, obviously we will get to a cost. So that was the hope, but if council was looking for something in sort of an order of magnitude cost, we could probably come up with something and provide it at the time that we send in a letter with this request, if that works for you.
Could we request that?
Yeah,
that'd be great.
That will take us a little bit to get that ready.
Costing. So does somebody want to move that we request a costing for the left turn lane adjustments at Main Street? The costing for it? It's just a costing. It's because that would allow us to apply for any grants that come along if we have a number to put with a grant.
Okay, but further, sorry, through you, Mr. Further to that, what about the sightlines and whatnot? Because
I think that's going to come into the design. If
that's going to be a part of it, looking at straightening. Okay, because to me, like I said, putting two left turning lanes in there without correcting the initial problem is a waste of time. So unless that's going to be a part of it, then
yeah. So I'm sure when you get that's what you meant when it comes into the design part of it, you're going to probably be highlighted more.
Yeah, through you, Mayor, like we'll be reviewing to ensure that the design will meet some of the appropriate standards. It is not our intention, though, to realign the road coming into the intersection at this time.
Unless it needs it, or if you do the design, because like I think like the deputy mayor is saying, when you start doing the design for the left turn lane, you're gonna see that the alignment's gonna have to be a part of it in some way.
When we get into it, if it becomes that, then yes, there would be a review.
Or just further to that. What we were presented 5 years ago said it was supposed to be there. So as I said, if there's been work done there that says it doesn't need to be done now, then please show that to us, but I haven't heard that. So I'm questioning how nothing has changed there in 5 years, so I don't know how it could be warranted 5 years ago, and now it's not warranted now. Like, I'm thinking it's a dollars and cents issue, which, as I said, when it comes to public safety, I hope it's not, so.
Again, we can go back, we can go back and bring out the documentation from that previous study and just reconfirm that. Thank you.
So that would be in the motion, if you like, we can have that in the motion that we get, you know, at that as a part of the design about the alignment there. Yeah.
When you're talking about a partnership area, you're thinking 1/3, 1/3, 1/3.
Through you.
Or we can go 10% then, or is that, put that part of the motion, or?
I would please, my plan was that the detailed design will could allocate the costs appropriately.
Okay.
So there's many things that go into it. There's property costs, there's major utilities to move out there. Where the widening is versus not, anyways, I can't tell you.
Losing part of it.
And that will not be in this costing information that I can provide. It'll be a really high order of magnitude. Subject to a lot of contingencies, etc.
One more question, but I'll see if I can get a mover and a seconder for the motion and then speak to the motion. So do you want to move the motion, or did you move?
Terry.
Did Terry move it? Did you have that
I
down?
just moved my chair. I'll move it.
Okay.
Jerry moved the motion. I do it, so I don't know if you want that as part of his motion.
You're okay with that?
Yeah.
And you're seconding it?
Sure.
All right. Okay, question?
And just
Councilor
one more question to you, Mayor Martin. The business that is south of Highway 7 and Mary Street, is there gonna be disruption? Because of the way his lot is, you got a spot coming off and then a spot coming off Mary. Is all that, like the sidewalk part, all that would be a part of this whole design?
We would have to, sorry, through you, Mayor, we would have to review and see what the impacts might be.
Okay,
I can't answer the question.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you. All right then, so we'll move on to the next part of the turning lanes. All in favor?
Yeah.
That's carried. Okay. Okay, yeah, thank you.
So, one of my project engineers in my section, I'm just gonna go through the left.
All right. Deputy Mayor Martin Council. Today I'm just going to speak about an improvement that the Ministry of Transportation is doing on Highway 7. As part of the ministry's process of improving operational conditions on highways and as well as improving safety. The ministry is forward with the test that I was presented in 2010 to improve the intersection of Belmont 6 line, 2nd line, and Samaba. Second slide. So the Ministry of Transportation has retained Wills Associates to undertake a detailed design and class environmental assessments to improve the intersections of Highway 7 at 6 line, 2nd line, and Summer Park. The 2nd line and Summer Park being put together because of the proximity of both intersections. Like I said earlier, this was taking forward the recommendations from the test that was put out in the year 2010. Next slide, please. Based on existing conditions right now, what we see on the field, the intersection of Highway 7 and 6 line has two both eastbound and westbound lanes, and we pave shoulders. For that of the 2nd line, we have also eastbound and westbound 2 lanes with right-hand tables at each side. And lastly, for Summer Park, on the existing conditions, we have the eastbound lane, westbound lanes, and also tapers at this intersection. It's also important to know that at the Summer Park, we have passing zones within there just because of how the geometry or the layout is inside. Based on our improvements, like I earlier mentioned, to ensure that the public is safe. The improvement road that is going out there for 6-line is the inclusion of left-turn lanes at both approaches on Belmont 6-line. One thing I will note, and I think I'll speak about it as we go further, is that going east of the intersection, the widening is going to happen at the north and the south. And when we're going west of the intersection, the widening is only going to happen to the north, just because of buildings and things that are there. Can we go to the next slide, please? Thank you. For 2nd line, we're planning to add left-turn lanes at both approaches, so the westbound and the eastbound lanes. Currently, 2nd line has an offset, and I think I'll say it in the other side has an offset. And going through design, we felt that it's important that we realign that intersection to make it a 90-degree intersection with the left-hand included it. Next slide, please. And lastly, at Summer Park, we are currently going to add left-turn lanes at this intersection. And as I earlier mentioned, we have passing zones within there. As a result of the inclusion of these left-turn lanes, there will be no passing zones, just to ensure people are walking in a safe and operational manner. Next slide. I think the next slide is going to talk about the realignment. The slide was put there so that you could see what the final design is going to look like as to what it is currently, the offsets of both the north and the south legs. Next slide, please. So as part of undertaking this assignment, there are some property requirements with key stakeholders, but in particular for the 6-line intersection, the township, we have been in full conversation with the township, and there's going to be some work that's going to be done at the 6-line. The entrance is at both of the township's properties, just at the intersection there will be taken down to the side road with the 6-line, and we have gotten approvals. I think as we go down the slide, you will see how the layout is going to look, but we've gotten approvals and we're going to move out that, put that entrance within the side roads, and we're going to ensure that, because currently we see that people got some open space, people like park through there, pass through there, so we're going to teach it in a certain way and make it more user friendly. Like I earlier mentioned also that permissions have been granted for that. So I don't think it's anything new. We are in full conversation with township. Next slide. So this is just the design that we have right now of what the intersection is going to look like once it's being built. And you can see right now that there's going to be an extension of that entrance to the side road, and on the other on the west side of 6-line, where you see, if you permit me to show, yeah, we are also creating another entrance for the township to have in that property. Next slide, please. So before I speak about consultation, I just want to reassure the council that we have been in contact with all stakeholders, public, and we're going to have some property requirements, and the property section in the ministry have been in contact with the stakeholders. So we're moving along. I cannot really tell you the context of where they are right now, but it's been positive so far that I've had. With regards to consultations to date, the notice of commencement started in 2001. We currently have a website which is shown there, www.highway7.montlions.ca. I encourage anyone to just go there, and if you have any concerns, if you have any questions, it's really open. If you want to understand how the study has gone so far, everything is documented there. We had an online PIC, which we use the same website, so the PIC materials is still there, though
the comment period has ended. We are still very open to any comments, any suggestions, any concerns that the public will have. Like I also said, we've engaged with consultations with residents, key stakeholders, and just to ensure that it's a collaborative approach to make sure that the design goes as planned. Currently, we're still open to receiving comments, and we encourage everyone to go there and see what it's all about. And next slide, please. Last. So in terms of next step, where we are right now, we're continuing with design, with the comments we're making. We're refining design, working with the utility companies because there are a lot of utility relocations as required, property acquisitions, as I mentioned. And once that is done, then we will prepare design and construction report to DCR, which we put out for public comment and agency review. After which, once we get a sign from that, then we can now finalize the design and proceed to construction. I must note also that construction is really dependent on the completion of this design, utility relocation, as well as property acquisition. So there are a lot of moving parts to this. So putting a time frame on when this is going to go out might be a little bit challenging at this moment. But like we have always done, we've tried to communicate with key stakeholders, and once that is on board, we will communicate that to everyone. So that is where I leave it. I don't know if council has any question, just any concern with this, but we're sure that with the construction of this is going to really improve operational conditions of Highway 7.
So this is one of those things that the timeline would be nicely hold, because it seems like, again, we've waited for a long time. We've been hearing about this and telling the community that, you know, we're going to get some improvements because the section from Havelock to Marmora is dangerous. And if you want to do your accident count at Sama Park, I'm sure those numbers are coming in that there has been some serious accidents there, and it would have been nice if it was addressed a while ago, but so hopefully this is happening sooner than later, because it needs to be done, but
yeah, we do understand the importance of it, and we're doing our best as a ministry to ensure that this goes out. But like I said, there's some things that are outside our control, and when things are outside the control, you can really put like a time frame to it. So we will continue as a ministry to do our best to ensure that we get all this in place, and but in terms of what we can control in terms of the design, we are expediting that as quick as possible.
I wasn't aware of your website, so I'm sure we can probably get that shared online again, just to yeah, I'm sure you'll get some input. I don't think people knew about it, but we'll open up to council, and if you have any questions in regards to this section. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Martin. One question, not the 6th line, the one in Sama Park, the left turning lane. Was it my understanding that that lane would also be used for a passing lane? Or was it just strictly left turn lane?
The Sama Park?
Yeah, Sama Park.
Oh, it's strictly a left turn lane.
It would eliminate
it will eliminate the passing.
Oh, right, okay.
Zone there right now.
Right, so then you've got the one way goes, okay.
And one thing I didn't mention, but we have a full agreement with that. So the improvement in Sama Park is going to affect the ranch restaurants,
Right.
but we already have a signed agreement on how we're going to modify the entrance, and it's going to be something that's going to work well and reduce any future accidents within that intersection.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any questions? Go ahead.
Yeah, so through you, Mr. Mayor, I believe, I don't think you were here last time, in 2018, when they gave us a report on that section, they told us that there was a possibility of it going to, like, I don't know, like a passing lane. So going from starting, I believe they said it would be the 2nd line of Belmont to the 6th line. I don't know if that was just discussions, but I remember that in my head in terms of, because we had problems at both those intersections, but I think in that area in the past 4 or 5 years, there's been a couple of major accidents there because of the roads and no passing.
Yeah,
So I think you guys were talking about possibly converting that to say like a 3-lane, so one side of the road would have a passing lane, I think. I was just wondering if that had ever come to any fruition or.
I'm not really sure of that, but one thing we did last year was, because we noticed, in terms of the pavement marking, with no passing zones, the passing zones, some of them were not meeting standard.
Okay.
So just to address that issue and ensure that it increased safety, we did a review on, just from Mary Street all the way down, further down 6 line, and we, changed some of the locations, and that went out in the fall last year. So if I know it's pavement marking, but if you're really observant on pavement, some of the zones have changed, the areas have changed, and I think it should have increased safety on the highway. But in terms of widening, I'm not privy to that. I don't think that's a recommendation that came out from the test of 2010.
Yeah, through you, Mayor, I'm sorry, I would have to double check that.
Okay.
Environmental study report, but as with anything in this section of road, these left turn lanes that Rumen is currently building was identified in that previous study. Preliminary. So the way we do our planning is we do what's called a preliminary design, which is high level, identifying needs in a corridor, try to assign a timeline to it. In that case, again, that passing lane was probably a long-term planning item.
Yeah, I was just concerned because as I said, I think in the last 5 years, there's probably been at least 2 or 3, if not more, fatal accidents in that stretch between the 6th line and the 2nd line, which is only probably 2 or 3 points, not a very long space, right? So if that could be looked at, or obviously maybe that would be appreciated.
Yeah, I mean, just through your mayor as well. I mean, obviously we review every collision that does occur on the roads and to see whether there's countermeasures that can be taken to hopefully not have those events happen in the future.
Thank you very much.
Okay, well, thank you for this. Like with seeing engineering, one of the questions I had was around winter maintenance too, and I don't think as engineers you look after that part of it, or do you use, I expected that, but because and your traffic counts and everything like that, even an updated one would probably help with that, because the numbers are obviously skewed as far as traffic between here and Norwood, even in the winter time. And yeah, so we'll leave that for another time. I guess we'll invite whatever department that is. I did forward the answer to our MPP about why they look after it the way they do, and it comes back to numbers again, but you've said it a few times too, that it's a throughway, and you know, it is a highway between Ottawa and Toronto, and everything should be the same or similar. So we'll leave that for another time or another department of the MTO, but thank you for this update, and hopefully we keep things moving here and get it done. That's the big thing here. So thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you.
Webb, seconded by Councilor Doherty, all in favor? And that's carried. Okay. We'll move into staff reports for information. There's 3 things there. Is there anything that you would like to pull out? If not, we'll receive them. Activity, active financial kind contribution, and the Summerfest financial kind of contribution. Motion to receive. Anybody want to? Okay, Councilor Clement, do I have a seconder? Mayor Webb. All in favor? And that's carried. Okay. Next, we'll move into staff reports with follow-up action, and the first is the snow plowing contract.
You're on stage.
I was hoping to get a little, see what everybody else was doing. Yeah, this is for the snowplow contract for Cordova Mines, Claire Newham's Road and the Jacks Lakes transfer. The purpose of this report to obtain council's approval to award the request for the quotations. Snow plowing quotation for the winter season 2023 to 2024. Job 1, job 2, and job 3. So the recommendation that council awards the contract for job 1 to complete property care for snow plowing at the 2 churches, the fire hall, and parking lots in the library at Cordova Mine, including the library sidewalks, stairs, and accessibility ramp at a cost of $10,000 plus HST. Job 2, to reline pavement markings for snow plowing 1 mile of Clare Newhams Road and 250 meters of Sandy Lake Road and the parking lot at County Road 46 at a cost of $4,770 plus HST. And job 3 to reline pavement marking and for snow plowing in the Jack Lakes transfer 96 Shady Lane in Apsley at a cost of $5,300 plus HST. Yeah, the back page shows the different costs from 2022 and 23 to 2024. But there's a bit of a increase, as you can see, for each job.
Thank you. Council thoughts? Motion to approve. Okay, moved by Councilor Doherty that we move the recommendation. Seconded by Councilor Flagler. All in favor? And that's carried.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Good. Good. We'll tell Peter you did really good. Okay. Next item is community recognition award.
Okay. Through you, Mayor Martin, the purpose of the report is to obtain council's approval to hold a special council meeting in November to present the 2023 Community Recognition Awards. Staff's recommendation is that council approve the recommended 2023 Community Recognition Awards eligibility criteria, nomination categories and process, as well as nomination approval process, and the council will receive applications for the 2023 Community Recognition Awards up to and until November the 10th this year. The council present the 2023 Community Recognition Awards at a special council meeting held on Thursday, November the 30th at 7 p.m. and that the treasurer be authorized to transfer funds from the general ledger 0102002409 with an upset limit of $1,875.
Okay. All right, so it's been a few years since we've been able to do this, and it's always good for our community to recognize people that have gone above and beyond. So, council's thoughts here. Recommendation. So,
motion to approve the recommendation.
Okay, so it's moved by Deputy Mayor Webb. We go ahead with the recognition awards. Do I have a seconder? Councilor Flagler. Questions? All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Not much time on the, on to get the things in, so it's good that you've got time now to get it out there.
So you, Mayor Martin, I've got most of the materials ready in terms of posting our bulletins and social media. So with this information, we'll be able to move later this week.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. All right, our next item here is the refurbishments. So Bob.
Yeah, through you, Mayor Martin, this report presents a request for funding. The township did successfully apply for grant funding to refurbish the cenotaph. Unfortunately, the grant funding did not cover 100% of the costs involved. So staff is requesting $4,000 from the council initiatives budget to complete the work.
Okay. All right, then. So we did get some of it, just not at all. So.
Yeah, I'll just make a motion to approve. This is something that I think we've wanted done for a while. Hope Are we gonna have it, is it gonna be done before this? or after?
Our
No.
supervisor in Parks Recreation has been working on that project. And we'll be coordinating that work. So some of it will be completed.
Through your member and I just received an email and they're coming on site tomorrow to start the cleaning.
Okay. All right, so Deputy Mayor Webb is moving it.
Yeah, just quickly, thank you to Josh and Leah for getting that grant in, because it was time sensitive, so. Good job.
And that's seconded by Councillor Doherty. Any other questions, comments? All in favor? And that's carried. Okay, so we're knocking on 12:30, so we're gonna go past our curfew here, if that's okay with you. We're hoping to go past 12:30, see if we can get done. Moved by Councillor Doherty. Seconded by Councillor Clement. All in favor? That's carried. All right, so we have correspondence, action items here. And so there's a few things here around the town hall. Anyways, first item here is Havelock Scouting's regular town hall in kind usage. Something, you know, that they've been using it for a long time. Thoughts? Their requests, well, you can see the requests there, so let them have their meetings and things there, so. Few requests from scouting, but this is the first one, so.
I'll accept the
Moved by Councillor Flagler, seconder, Councillor Clement. Any questions or comments? All in favor, and that's carried. The next item is usage for a camp sleepover at the town hall. You know, so what's your thoughts there?
Motion to approve.
Okay, it's moved by Deputy Mayor.
That's the skills one.
Yeah, moved by Deputy Mayor Webb, seconded by Councillor Flagler. All in favor, and that's carried. Okay, the next, this is something that I don't know if anybody went to the last meeting, did you? So we are gonna have to work on, they wanted to be a committee of council, so in the future here, we are gonna have to work on getting some terms of reference and things like that. I did ask Bob, it's possible to carry on as they are, like maybe they can give us some names that they're using on the committee now, and we can go out there like we do with other committees in the new year. When we do the other, did the other committees happen then, or do they happen next?
Yes, through you, Mayor Martin. So all committees will be advertised next year.
Next year, so it's.
For renewal at the 2-year mark. So at that point, this committee, if it continues to be a committee of council, would be advertised and have a terms of reference as the other committees do.
So maybe we could speak to Debbie and whoever else is on the committee. Okay, Barry, you've been going to the meetings too? Okay.
Through you, Mayor Martin, based on our last council meeting, we have moved forward with the usage request, which was a requirement, but also with a notion that we would also communicate to those committee members who have expressed an interest to come together what the expectations are in terms of committee of council. And I think the committee members fully recognize. I will step in as their secretary, as I do with the economic development. So we'll follow much the same practice that we do for economic development in terms of taking minutes and attendance and reporting back to council. And we are modeling the economic development as well as the older Matheson conservation area terms of reference. So we should be able at a later date to bring those forward to council for review.
Okay, that's good. And that'll work, Bob, if we can do some appointments for this one, just to keep it moving. If it continues to move, we'll deal with it in the next round of applications that come in, so.
If you remember, one modification to the letter that was submitted in our most recent meeting this past Thursday, having spoken to the whole group and one of the key organizers, which is Debbie Audley, she's surveyed the group, and Wednesdays, the second and fourth Wednesday of the month, actually does not work for people. It would be, they'll supply a letter to modify that, but they'd like to move it to the second and fourth Thursday of the month. So a subsequent amended letter will follow.
Okay. All right then. Okay, so the request here is for the usage then, and that'll be tied into the, like, if we're gonna support this, we could probably tie them in together, that, we get appointments from them for this year. So the motion, what's your thoughts on the regular, meetings and special events here? Counselor Doherty, you have something?
Well, I was gonna ask, is the calendar for the town hall similar to the calendar for the community hall? Is we're gonna change dates? Okay. Just a question.
Mayor Martin, it was recognized earlier that the online editable form for municipal, let's say rental for usage is not aligned with the town hall. Town hall is not included as one of the municipal properties at the moment, because typically these letters request in-kind usage of the facility, which is a little bit different from the other municipal properties. We have submitted a request to Leah to add the town hall. So as soon as that modification is made, I'll go in on behalf of the organizations you see listed here to simply enter in the information so that it's in alignment with our current practice. So all of these requests will come through on that format as well. But these are in-kind requests specific for the town hall.
Yes, thank you. So that would be helpful on, similar to your other report on the in-kind part of it. If we can track it through that booking thing there, we'll be able to show our in-kind donation that we're doing here. Because no matter what, there's a cost to it, right? Bob, go ahead.
Yes, through you, Mayor Martin, just to Councillor Doherty, you were asking about the calendar. The calendars currently are not shared. It's a different calendar for the community center. However, when our new website is completed, the anticipation is that there will be a shared calendar. So the community groups, there will be calendars that we can all see what activities are taking place at each location.
Through you, Mr. The logic, I guess, that I was asking the question for, if it's Parks and Rec to look after both.
Correct.
And
yes,
they have to manage their resources. So that was kind of why I was thinking.
Okay. So the motion to support the youth committee, is there somebody who wants to move that, or? Okay, moved by Councillor Fleischler that we work with the dates that they provided. Seconded by Deputy Mayor Webb. All in favor? And that's carried. So the next item here is a community grant program application. This is the first we've had for the community grant application, is it? Or is this? If this goes along with what we developed in the budget?
Through you, Mayor Martin, this is our first formal application to the community grant program. These other items that are requesting in-kind usage can be included as community grant participants as well, as noted in the criteria for the community grant. This is our first formal application.
So there's great things coming out of that, from that group, and it's nice if there is a way of supporting it, because a lot of the kids in our community go there and use this, not just the kids, there's a lot of other people that are using it. So it's nice if there is a way to help this to continue on. And maybe you can help me here with this. So as much as they've listed their in-kind, like, is this the 50-50 thing too, or is it? So they would show us in a report following, if they were given this, they're 50% of it, like on how, whether it's in kind or whatever. I'm sure they can come up with $1,000 number there very easily with what they do over there. So, okay.
Through you, Mayor. So on our page here, it shows the quote they've got from Sherwin-Williams. It's around 1,000 or 1,100. So would we just give them half of that? Or how does this work again? I'm sorry.
So with the matching funds thing, so it would be 1,000, you get 1,000, like it's. So
2,000. They
get 2,000.
Get 1,000 plus.
Okay.
Up to 1,000.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Through you, Mayor Martin, just to clarify, so the community grant program does require matching funds up to an upset limit of $1,000 contribution from the township. So if the total cost of this project is $1,000, the township would contribute 500.
So, okay, so if somebody wanted to move to support it, that's moved by Deputy Mayor Webb, seconder. Councillor Clement. All in favor?
No. Through you, Mayor Martin, I'm a little confused on this $1,000. I thought it was $1,000.
It is.
Okay, but they just put in for paint, that's not labor costs in that as
No,
well.
it's yeah, no, so when they do their final,
So if they gave a final bill of $2,000, you would pay the 1,000.
it's up to 1,000, so yeah, I'm sure they'll come up with something.
Because that doesn't include the cost of
No.
somebody going in there and actually doing it.
So yeah, when they do their final thing for us, like when the numbers come in, I'm sure it'll be in the $2,000 or $3,000 range, but go ahead.
Through you, Mayor Martin, to Councillor Flagler, we will request that they make a final submission of all their costs.
All right,
And we will provide half up to a maximum of $1,000.
okay.
That's
Thank you.
the best way.
Thank you.
Through you, Mayor Martin, so this program, similar to the other grant programs, have a criteria that they have to follow if you put in, and is this to get this fully completed? I know we've got estimates here, what they're using it for, but do they have to report back on a financial, within a certain,
Yes, they do.
certain period of time, or?
Correct.
Good, thank you.
Okay, so we have a mover and a seconder. All in favor? And that's carried. Okay, the next item here is with regards to Historical Society and another in-kind financial town hall usage request. So, go ahead.
Through you, Mayor Martin, Diane Mack of the Belmont-Methuen and Havelock-Historical Society has requested use of the town hall for 2 days. They'd like to hold students learning through history and for all of the artwork that was created for Art in the Park, part of our Celebrate Havelock event. We still have them, as well as their family stories that are attached to them. The notion being that they will hold an event where there is an art show, inviting all the parents from Havelock Public School, St. Paul's, as well as North District High School. And they'll also have historic artifacts in the area that have a school-based theme. And they're looking for the 2 dates because there's a bit of setup and takedown.
What was the dates again?
It's November, 3rd and 4th, I believe, on those dates.
All right then, and it won't fit in the basement of the library to do that, or?
No, they wouldn't, only because of the way that they stretched it out. They'll be using part of the stage as well.
Okay.
For your memory.
All right then. Thoughts here. This is another reason why this committee, it would be better if it was a committee that, you know, could deal with the council table. So we are gonna have to work on that to get a committee set up that, you know, so a representative from here would know more of what's going on instead of it coming in this late, but, so what's your thoughts?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve, moved by, Deputy Mayor Webb, seconded by Councillor Doherty. Questions, comments? Go ahead, Deb.
Question through you, Mayor Martin. Is there any charges? Is she charging to come in and see this and drop your stuff off?
Through you, Mayor Martin. I've only been part of the first 2 preliminary planning discussions. They imagined setting up all of the photo or all of the artwork, inviting the schools. If there is any fees, it'll be a nominal fee. Their goal is to be as accessible as possible. So I know that if there is an admin fee, it would be very small, and I don't believe they've ever discussed that, but it would be, they would have an element of an auction where people could bid on the artwork, and then at the close of the event, those with the most successful bids would be called back and they would come and claim their artwork. So they imagined that friends and family could bid on their children's or grandchildren's artwork, and then that would be a fundraiser for the Historic Society.
Okay, so through you, Mayor Martin, so she is using it as a fundraiser for the, and then what's her, or I guess it's none of my business, what's her plans with the money? Is there plans of why she's doing what she's
Through you, Mayor
doing?
Martin, it's a fundraiser for the society. Oftentimes they need to photocopy very large maps and things like that, and they don't have the equipment for that, so they actually have to have that done outside. And they're also raising funds to preserve some of the artifacts they have. It's an ongoing effort in terms of their nonprofit status.
Right, so, through you, Mayor Martin, so going forward, do we need to have a committee for this? Because this is just a lady which is awesome. I mean, phenomenal that she's willing to do that.
Yeah, okay.
Through you, Mayor Martin, you're quite right. There is approximately 4 active members within the, and I want to make sure I say the name right, because it was established in the late 90s, so it goes way back. Belmont-Methuen and Havelock Historical Society. It's named that way because it was formed before our amalgamation, and it sort of reflected the way in which it was amalgamated. So if we look back at the originating group, so many of them are no longer with us. But of the 4 active members, there has been a resurgence since all of the artifacts have been moved from the basement of the town hall and placed and stored safely in the basement of the public library. Diane Mack, as well as, and I'll name the first names, forgive me, I've forgotten the last names, but Betty, Doris, and I believe she's mentioned Margaret as well. They've been working really hard at scanning their artifacts and articleizing them and storing them in a database, which is time consuming, but they're going through that process. They're also revisiting how they accept materials, and they have a hard copy reserved or a binder of sorts where any donated artifacts are documented. And we've talked a little bit about having a care control element where if, for example, if Councillor Clement wanted to give a family artifact to them, it is a loan, not to be viewed as a donation. And so if she's donating something, it's documented on their end, but she also receives a receipt to say that this is my article, I'm loaning it to the society for a period of time. And at any point, I can request the return to my family, even if I no longer am here, but it would go to my state or have you. So they are reviewing a lot of that. There have been discussions about a committee of council and the benefits of a committee of council, the importance of a committee of council so that it is long and enduring, and that the society is representing the whole of our township. It would be helpful to have more discussions and having representatives council in those discussions or a representative, just so that there is more understanding in terms of how that process would work.
So I think that's the next step, but for today, you know, this thing that they're doing for a fundraiser, I think that would be the topic of discussion for another day. We do need a committee, good point. And I've been saying that for a long time, and I hope that we can come up with something like a criteria that makes it work, and it'll help this thing go on for a lot longer if there's more people involved and it's structured better. So if we can leave that for another day, or maybe discuss it with the group in the future here and bring that back. But for today, if we could, we have a mover and a seconder to support this. So I'll call the question, all in favor? And that's carried.
Yeah, but question to you, Mr. Mayor. How big was the committee prior to us losing some members? Was it 8, 10, or 5, or?
Through you, Mayor Martin, I'm relatively new to this whole experience. I've had the benefit of working with Diane Mack through the Celebrate Havelock. It was a very rewarding experience. We were really successful and we have a collaborative relationship. And I've gotten to know other members that are currently active. I have some of the artifacts because they've shown me their original logos and they need a little bit of help on that front. And in looking at the first listing, I'd be guessing, but it seemed to me there might have been 18 to 20 people on the original list because it was back to it had a tie into the rock and rail.
Yeah.
So there would be at least, to my way of memory, just looking at that list, about 18 or so people. I hope I'm close to that.
Okay.
Thank you.
So it is worth looking at and seeing if we can bring that back. So, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So, next item is committee liaison reports, and the first is county council. Did you have anything there?
Yeah, I'm glad. Pretty sure, yeah, we had 2 presentations. So quickly, there was a presentation on called NG9, Next Generation 911. Basically an update of 911 system. They're getting away, they're getting away from landlines, but using more of the more up-to-date technology to locate people's residences based on, instead of using impact information, stuff like that. One question that was raised by a couple members was, and it kind of pertains to our community as well. A lot of people out there still, or some people out there still that don't use cell phones, they're on the hard landlines. So this, while it is a cell phone generated program, it's incorporated the landline. So anybody that phones 911 from a landline, it goes into the system and it will go through just the same as it would as if they were calling from a cell phone. So just to put people's mind at ease there, nothing's really going to change. Hopefully the system's just going to get better and quicker in terms of serving the public. So that, and we had a kind of a general update on paramedics, kind of, I don't know if you want me to go through it, just basically on their operations and things of a few surveys they've had in the community. So where was it here? Sorry. So they conducted a survey here in the, I don't know, the last 6 months, basically prior to enrollment in the CP program, how would you rate your health score? So at that point, they rated it 2.96. Since they've done a new survey, the new numbers come in at 3.74, and that's already out of 5. So they've upped it by almost 1. So whatever they're doing there, paramedics seem to be doing a good job because the public is taking to it. So any question?
Councilor, you, Mr. I read that we have a new person now on the doctor recruitment program.
Yes.
With our new capital project updates there with the medical center, would it be prudent to have her come and tell us, what they're looking for? So we might look at our focus as to what we need to do here. As part of it, I don't know. It's just
for sure we can look at doing that. I don't know what her scale is in terms of how she's going to approach this, right? I imagine.
Yeah.
From what I'm thinking is she's going to be coming to all the townships, or the townships that are going to use her services, right, to do something like that. But it's a good point, and that we can contact her and bring her in, ASAP, if that's what council would like.
Yeah, that'll help on the decision with our medical center too. But she's new to it, not new to it. She did this before years ago and she's back at it. She worked with Dr. Harter and another, I can't remember his name, but anyways, so once she gets settled in, we haven't even really, it just came through the media and an email. Once we meet her, that would be something that we can ask. If it's a good point, we need to know what they're going to do for the individual communities, and I'm sure it'll be coming forward. So, okay. Okay, so moving into, that's all you had there, and that, yeah, like it was.
Yeah, it was short.
Yeah, just okay, so the next item on the agenda is community policing minutes from June 14th.
So the only thing I wanted to add to this, through Mayor Martin, is they were looking at a 911 sign. We're actually, they sent a letter off to Bob and it's gone back to the OPP. They're rethinking it. They wanted to, when kids were in the street would do 911. I think they've come to the conclusion everyone knows 911. So I think that part might have came to a standstill. I can let you know after the next meeting.
Sure. Okay. All right then, and so motion to receive those minutes. Okay, Councilor Flagler, Deputy Mayor Webb, all in favor, and that's carried. Okay, I don't have any written notice of motion. Is there any oral notice of motion? Seeing none, we move into other business. The only thing I had on here was with regards to my school committee meeting. It was too late to come on to last month's agenda. Their meeting is the day before our meeting here, so I didn't make it to the agenda. So it's on this agenda, and talking to them last night. Something that's happened, and it's happening in a lot of areas, is the helmets have to be certified. They're out of date. These helmets, we used to use them for public skating, and I think, and we had skates too. I think Smitty's donated them at one time. It's kind of late notice, so when they found out these were outdated, what they're asking is, would the township support purchasing? They want 20 helmets altogether, like 5 different sizes. And what it is they have 6 days booked at the arena for the kids to go skating. Some kids aren't in hockey and figure skating and don't use the rink, so they don't have the equipment. So we've always used our equipment to help them take part. So ideally, if everyone can bring their own equipment, it would be beneficial, but they're kind of stuck here and they didn't want to miss the first date. So Deputy Mayor Webb, go ahead.
Do we know the school is actually telling the kids to bring their own equipment? Because as I said, I'm not under the impression that the kids are just told that the stuff's gonna be there.
Yeah.
So, like, in terms of moving forward, as I said, even 20 helmets or whatever it is, you're looking at probably over $1,000–1,500. And if we're gonna do this every 5 years.
$1,014.
I mean, my first question would be, and maybe that'll be for the next meeting when the trustee comes, why is the school not paying for this? Because it's a school event. Secondly, when the rest of us had skating days, I'm pretty sure we all brought our own equipment. And by all means, there were kids that might not have played hockey or whatever, but they borrowed a helmet or their friend would lend them a helmet, you know. As you said, if we had maybe 5 or 10 over there. But the days of, I saw the baggie throw the helmets over there. It had to be $2,000 or $3,000 worth of helmets.
Yeah.
That, you know, we've just basically peed away here over 5 or 10 years. Like, I'm a part of that too, so I understand, but moving forward, I'm not gonna keep going down the same avenue. To me, the school needs to be told, they're gonna run these programs, then start funding them. Stop, you know, expecting us or whoever else, parents to foot the bill for this. So
okay,
that's just what I have to say.
Okay, so yeah, so it would be ideal if we could get somebody to donate the helmets. They asked me to bring this forward as you were on that committee before too. So their hopes were, like I said, they didn't want to miss the first one. It's booked, I think, for November 1st. So they're kind of in a time crunch here. So they wondered if the township would, and they got a price on them from Canadian Tire on Chemung Road, offered a $10 discount from, so they're normally like a $59 helmet and they're giving them for $49. And they wanted 20 of them all together. So it's $1,014 plus tax. I said I would bring it to council to see if it would fit into our council initiative. But that being said, if we, you know, I totally understand what you're saying. So if we want to go that way, we can just, you know, let them try and find donations in the meantime before then. So it's a tough thing. It's just, you know.
Well, and through you, Mr. Exactly. Now here we are on the hot seat as though, like, you know, at least myself, well, is it gonna be my fault if we don't do this, that the kids skating is canceled? And I don't think we should be put in this position.
No.
So moving forward, I can't see why we can't put something out to, I know minor hockey did it, and I'm pretty sure they got a good amount of equipment. Why we couldn't put something out to the community saying that this is what's going on. If you had any helmets, make them aware of the 5-year designation, right? So they're not bringing in old helmets that we can't use. But because to me, we only need 5 or 10.
Yeah.
And if we need 20 or 30, then we have a real problem, and perhaps the school shouldn't be running, you know, I hate to say it, but then maybe they should be running skating days if they don't have the equipment to provide for these kids. So because it's not our responsibility.
So that's an option, like, you know, like, I don't know, there's a bit of time between now and November. Like, if we were to put it on social media, I talked to a community close to us that did that, and they rolled in, they had too many helmets, you know, because a lot of the community said they didn't realize they could help. So that's an option. We can try a social media thing between now and November 1st that we need, you know, that the school needs, work with the school can ask, but we can help them. You know, yeah, we can ask for donations, because, you know, I would support that myself. So if you want to make a motion that we maybe use our social media to help get some donations.
I'll make that motion. As a preliminary step, obviously, if they don't come in, then we're gonna have to read it. But I mean, to me, you said, other communities will do it. I think our community will step up here and bring some in for the kids. So
okay. Is that it? So okay, moved by Deputy Mayor Webb, seconded by Councillor Tiger. Question? Yeah.
When did this regulation come in on the 5-year thing?
They have dates on the helmets themselves.
So we must have bought all those helmets the same date. So when we bought the helmets, we knew there was a 5-year expiry date on them. Is that?
Sorry, through Mr. Mayor. I'm gonna try and answer this the best, and some of this might not be right, but I believe the date on there's actually a sticker with. So some of them are 2022, 2020, they'll be a different year. So if you went and bought a helmet today, it would say 2028 on the sticker.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I think the regulation in terms of the 5 years has come in definitely within the last 10 years and maybe even within the last 5 years, because I don't remember that designation at any time I ever played hockey in terms of a helmet being uncertified after a date.
Well, I guess that's the point I'm trying to make is it seems like it's a surprise. And if it's been around for 10 years, it's less of a surprise, I guess.
And that's what I'm saying. Maybe it hasn't been that long, but I think, as I said, I don't remember back in the days when I did play hockey. I don't remember ever. The standard for a helmet was always kind of the way it looked, or you know what I mean. If it was cracked, it was kind of a visual test, not
Guess my Stan McKee helmet was
hard, you know, but not a firm date, which you have to. Well, that's the other frustrating because the mayor's seen them of the bags. These are all brand new helmets here. There's not a mark like on them. It's not like I bet you some of them might not even been used at all. So it's, to me, it was just a waste of money.
It's just all of a sudden today we found out, or a week ago, that they're all expired, and so it doesn't give us much of a.
A lot of, so other communities where that's been happening with the pandemic and the schools weren't using the rink, like they haven't been using it. So they kind of got neglected. Nobody even looked at it. I don't know whether the school used the rink last year at all. I don't think so.
Maybe.
Go ahead.
This 2023 through your Mayor Martin?
2023.
Yes, only 23. I don't think it was used in the
No.
22 timeframe.
So anyways, it kind of was a surprise thing, but so the motion to help the school on advertising for donations and see if we could round up some helmets through that way and see where it goes.
Through you, Member, I have just a clarifying questions. Are you looking for donations of CSA approved helmets or monetary donations, or both?
Both, either or. You know, they have a price at the school that might not be matched by, so you could talk to Danielle Paulette and the principal, maybe just see how you want to word it, but if we could get it out as soon as possible, I really think, you know, we should be able to get 20 helmets easy. That way.
Through you, Mayor Martin, just to clarify, are the helmets being donated to the township or are they being donated to the school?
Well, we've been storing them. I don't know how that's working. That's a question for Josh. So ask him and the school to ask I think we've been storing them, haven't we?
We have, but I think you would probably, if we're gonna make the switch now, it'd be nice to maybe transfer them over to the school if they. And once again, that'd be a Josh issue, or if he runs it, and whether we want to store them there for them so it's easier access. But I think we should try and get them out of the ownership of these helmets as soon as possible.
Yeah, I don't think they have a lot of storage. When I'm hearing them last night, they don't have room to store spaghetti sauce. I don't know where they're gonna store all these helmets, but
I will like the offer.
Yeah,
It's not redundant.
So we can ask it. Always never hurts to ask. Go ahead.
To you, Mayor Martin, I'd personally like to know how many of the helmets are actually used. I know that they want 20, but are they only using 1 or 2? Because I'm having a hard time believing that kids in this area don't have hockey helmets. Even the ones that don't play.
A lot of people don't skate and don't,
But I get that, so then they would need, I guess times have changed, because I just went with 2.
Yeah,
I didn't have
so for today though, we don't need to worry about that, because this donation thing, I'll take care of that, and we're gonna wash our hands of that side of it for now if this works. So, Barry?
Through your memory, well, so that's through the school, so we have public skating ourselves as part of the community. So do they have to wear helmets then?
No.
Yeah, see?
No,
there's no helmet requirement for public skating?
No.
Wow.
Thank you. Okay, so we do have a mover and a seconder for this, that we work with the school and try and come up with something for donations. All in favor? And that's carried. So, all right, then,
I know.
we have one bylaw left on the agenda and that the bylaw authorized myself and the clerk to enter into a memorandum of understanding with Crow Valley with regards to surface water quality monitoring. That's from the meeting last month, or at the beginning of the month. So, yeah. They want to move that? Okay, moved by Councillor Clements, seconded by Deputy Mayor Webb, all in favor? And that's carried. Okay, we don't have any closed session. So the confirming bylaw. May want to do the confirming bylaw, that's Gary, Councillor Doherty and Councillor Flagler, all in favor, carried. And motion to adjourn, Deputy Mayor Webb. All in favor, thank you.